Oh, I'm fucking muted. You know what? It is our tradition in Chaotic Neutral to have technical fucking issues. Let's start that again. Hello, everybody, and welcome to Chaotic Neutral Games. A slight different change to our lineup today, as both Rodrigo and Kat have both got technical issues, and I'm just an idiot. Instead of our regular lineup of Blades in the Dark, one of our Chaotix, Mike, has very generously decided to step in again with his knowledge of Cortex Prime. Lovely system, very versatile. And I'm excited about this one. And the reason is, as you can see behind me, I've got one of the bits of art there and another one to the side here. You may not have heard of Hammerheads, but you will, I hope, have heard of Thunderbirds. The original puppet animation, I think they've done a cartoon version as well. And I was a big Thunderbird 2 fan as a kid. So I'm really looking forward to this. And Mike introduced me to it a few weeks ago, and I said, I don't know when you're running it, but I'm in. Anyway, I've said this twice now, so let's go and meet the players. Right, I'm just going to check. Yes, I've got sound bars on both of you. So let me introduce you all before I hand over to our GM for today, Mike. I've just realised there's two Kevs here. I don't know how Dave has become Kev as well, but I'll do something about that in a minute. Oh, look, there we go. There's a third Kev. There's a third Kev there. Can you guess that I did this on the fly?
I multiply.
Anyway, I am going to
go.
No
one's judging. No one's judging.
I love this. This is great.
Just keep repeating it. We are a class outfit. We're a class outfit. You know what? I'm just going to get rid of the fucking names for you two at the moment and sort it out in a minute. Right. You're not Kev. Go away. Right. Going around the table, we have, of course, got the return of two of our Blades characters. Mike, who will be the GM for today, and Kev, who normally plays checkers in Blades of the Dark. But we are also joined by another DM, another forever DM, although mostly by his own bloody choice. And that is Dave, a.k.a. Mage Dave, a.k.a. Mike's brother. You will have seen Dave talking on the Discord, if you're part of the community. And as the name would suggest, he runs Mage the Ascension. Which I keep saying Awakening, and I know I'll get told off for that.
Yeah, you will. Yeah.
So thank you very much, guys, for riffing this one shot. I'm going to hand over to Mike because we're going to go through everything, including character creation, for this. So, Mike, take it away.
No, I'm not muted either. Okay, thanks, Simon. Thanks for the introductions to everybody. So we're going to be playing Hammerheads in Cortex Prime. It's a dice pool based system. Dave, earlier we went through character creation for his character. He's going to be playing an ex-racing car driver and now Hammerhead pilot. And we're going to create a character for, let's see, Simon, you should have one now listed as the knowledge. Based on your background choices. Mm-hmm. And Kev, we've got a character 3, which I think we've assigned to you, so you can pick that up and we'll start filling that out. To check that's on your journal. So if you've got those open, guys, you can tab across to the character sheet panel.
Is it character 3?
Yeah.
All right.
Is that yours? You got that?
Yeah, I got it.
So this, I don't know if you've done any of the editing on this already.
I changed the picture.
Changed the picture. So you kind of picked your portrait already?
Yep.
Happy with that. Okay, so for Simon and for Kev, what we did with Dave's character was we looked at distinctions first. And these are 3 traits that kind of define who and what your character is and what makes them unique. So what was your life before? What is your approach or attitude to life? And what quirk or quality makes you unique? and we're going to try and fill those in first. So it gives you a basic framework for your character that we will then build all the rest of the characteristics around. Simon, I'll pick you first.
No,
Your
don't
life
pick me
before-
first. I'm struggling with names right now. So,
Well, your life before is something that we have figured out, yeah?
yeah. So I'll
Then
tell you a bit
let me
about my
fill that
background
in.
because I can do that at the same time. So I'm going to be playing. I'm going to be playing Jack the Knowledge. He is a Londoner, originally from a Turkish background, but never actually even been to Turkey. And he is a cabbie and a whiz with anything mechanical. He can repair anything, and he was recruited quite spontaneously. He actually repaired a Hammerheads car, and was told I should try out. And here I am. I'm a Hammerhead now, and he takes it in a very kind of devil may care Londoner fashion. Yeah.
Well, what I'm going to give you then is your first distinction is lifelong cabbie.
Okay.
And that's a sort of career choice. That's the career path that you had before this. And like you say, you were at an emergency scene when Hammerheads came in and they were doing rescues. And one of their vehicles was breaking down, and you stepped in and were mechanically adept enough to step in and assist with a repair work on a rescue vehicle. So I'm giving you lifelong cabbie as your first distinction, as this was your life before. You know, the street level routes and the city layouts is the sort of flavor of that. So I'm giving you there. So Kev, if you think sort of the role that you would have held before being a member of the Hammerheads, this is kind of the life influences that would have led you to being a useful member of the team. Do you have an idea for that?
A little bit, actually. So as you know, I actually grew up in Texas, so I do have a very good Southern accent that I can do. So maybe I'm gonna go with a Texan farmer, ex-farmer.
Okay.
You know,
Uh,
I don't know where to take it from there, but we'll see.
Texas ranch manager.
Yeah, for sure.
Okay, so you had land, you cared for, you rode horseback, you've got good animal skills. Is there anything specific amongst all that lot that you want to make this a focus about?
Well, I actually wanted to fill in the holes of whatever the team is missing, but I'm gonna go with physical, I guess, and physical and social, I believe.
Okay. So, I mean, from the point of view of what we're focusing on, this is the distinction. So, this is how we're defining your character's sort of background and what that brings to you. So, this is kind of a insight into non-listed skills. So, whenever you're trying to do something that fits within your Texas ranch manager past, you'll be able to call on this as a bonus to your dice rolls.
All right.
So, let's focusing on that. What element of the ranch manager life can you instantly sum it up as a summary of what that was like, or what that gives you that's a benefit going forward?
All right. I think you need kind of like a lot of people skills, because
Yeah.
you have to be able to sell whatever you're sewing. So kind of like in the kind of like trading merchant-ish kind of route.
Okay. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, and then physical work, just as in just general knowledge of how machinery works, just for repairing your own tractors and stuff. And I figured it might as well not be any different than one of the Hammerhead systems.
Sure. I mean,
So
this is a short distance into the future, so high tech is going to be a lot more involved in everybody's lifestyles. So
Of
you're going to
course.
definitely you were a cutting edge Texas farmer with the highest level of technology available to you.
Space Texas, yeah.
Yeah, space. Okay, I like where that's going as well. What I've got in here is Texas ranch manager, but you're describing more sort of arable farming, I think.
Yeah, for sure. Like, I'm not really into like cattling. It's more like anything like working with machinery like grain pickers and
Sure.
just
So
like
I've got
automatic
face to face.
sowers.
As a bit of flavour for this, I've put face to face and down to earth farm life.
Yeah.
But I'm going to put in down to earth yet high tech farm life. Okay, so that's the first distinction. Now we're going to do two more of these. So if you've got your character sheet open, you can have a look. I've just filled that first one in for you, Kev. And if we look at your approach attitude is the next one. So we're doing the same basic thing again here.
Yeah.
What is your outlook on how to overcome problems? You're going to be working within emergency situations. What is your coping mechanism or your approach or your attitude towards those sorts of dangers and problems that will power you through the challenges, overcome those obstacles? And if Simon hears that, if you could be thinking the same thing again.
Yeah. So I was going to say I'm showing on the screen at the moment that your life before I've just put down. I've just shown lifelong cabbie for my background as being a cabbie, and as you say, we're looking at our approach and attitude now. So I'll show the dice pools and things like that later on, but we'll do it a bit at a time. So, Kev.
Thanks for that. That's good. I've just tabbed across just to have a look at that. I'm glad to see that on screen. So, Kev, let's focus on yours, your approach attitude.
All right. I think hitting hard and fast is the best approach, either in sales or in military operations. It's the same thing.
Okay.
So
Well, I filled your last one in. Why don't you fill this in? Pop in the text that you think is applicable for.
Yeah. So
for that, and then while you're typing that in, I'll check in with Si if he's sorted out everyone's names.
Yes, I'm already on that. Except this screen doesn't use people's names; it just shows their faces.
Yeah, exactly.
But so approach and attitude for Jack is that he never really makes a drama out of a crisis, which is part of what makes him invaluable. So
a calming influence. That's what we need in this group.
I'm going to say worst things happen at sea. Just because then, when Mike puts us at sea, it's funny. And so, Mike, the way the attitude defines who you are, I'll say that Jack doesn't make a drama out of a crisis, instead keeping a cool head and staying solution oriented.
We have a small visitor. One second.
Orientated.
Oriented, I think.
Oriented,
I don't know.
I think, yeah.
Hello, darling.
Yeah, it's my second language. Don't ask me.
Solution focused. There we go.
Go to mummy.
Hello.
It's okay.
Hello.
Hello, everybody. Here's Amelia's
Wow.
treat. You can go through. Thank you very much for your support.
Awesome.
How much do you want my input in this, Mike? Because obviously you're going through everybody else's stuff here. Should I be telling them what I am
please do.
as well? Or
take a second, Dave. Share what you went through for your ones as well.
Well, okay. So let's pull it up so I've got it exactly in front of me. So I went with, for my life before, I went with a race car driver, a successful Formula One driver, and a media favorite. He loves being the center of attention and often puts extra flair into his actions just to get that attention. And then for my approach and attitude, I went with aggressive risk taker. If you're not willing to cut someone off during the overtake, then you aren't going to win. So
Nice.
Okay, so if we go for the third one, Dave, do you want to share what you had for your third
sure,
one? And then
absolutely.
We'll
So just let me open that up again. And then my final quirk Mike's renamed celebrity without me realizing. While he will never sacrifice lives for likes, he will always take the most photogenic action in any situation. So.
Nice.
So if you can scroll down just a tiny little bit more so you can see the next box as well, that'll come in handy.
The next one after that. Yeah. Okay. Sure, I can do that.
Yeah, so it's only like the next little bit below that.
Yeah, there we go.
Yeah, that as well. That's great. So, okay, what we're going to do is the quirk and quality. So, just to give Si and Kev one more second to think about that, I just want to draw attention to the bottom part. So, when we're rolling these traits, when they're included in the dice pool that you're rolling, you'll see there's a symbol for a D8 in the corner.
Yeah.
So that's the dice you would add to your dice pool to roll it. But all three of these that we've just discussed also have an ability called Hinder, where you will earn a plot point, and we'll come to those later. If you use your distinction as a negative rather than as a positive influence on the roll. So if you switch that 8 and instead roll a d4, which is a worse dice, clearly, then you earn a plot point. And so in role-play terms, you work out in what circumstances would it be disadvantageous to be a glory hound like Dave just described, to be a risk taker aggressively like Dave just described, or to be a bit of a favorite of the media and have all that fame on your back. In those circumstances, you would not roll the d8, which is beneficial. You would hinder yourself and roll the d4. But there's a mechanical reward of a plot point, and these are ways that you improve things later in the game. So, Si, would you like to describe a quirk or quality about your character that makes them who they are?
Okay, yeah. Again, Jack comes from London. He's very resourceful. However, in London, you don't have time for frivolity. Yeah. You're always looking for the next job. Everybody out there is getting looking for a job at the same time. It's a little bit not as dog eat dog as other places in the world, but when it comes down to it, you end up having a bit of a ruthless streak when it comes to getting the job done. You get it done quick. You get it done at a good quality, and you get a reputation for yourself. For him, simple is beautiful. He doesn't like complexity, and gets frustrated at it. So this can be used frustrated at complexity and delay. He likes the direct route. He likes it with no showiness. I'm deliberately bouncing off Dave's character. So in this case, for example, if you had someone who's about to pick a lock, but he knows he can kick the door down, he will damn well kick the door down rather than farting about with all those lockpicks. He doesn't like complex solutions. He likes simple solutions. So that can work both ways.
Excellent. Okay. And I see that, Kev, you started typing yours in. You've got talks in old sayings. That is very appropriate and just a tiny little bit reminiscent of another character from another Hammerheads game I've watched. So that could be an interesting outcome. Awesome. Anybody that's seen the Roll and Keep official Hammerheads game may know who I'm talking about there. But that's cool. That'll be, let's see what you come out with compared to what they have. So do you want to maybe just put one saying in there, or is it a stock phrase or a...
Oh, actually, yeah. I was gonna put one over here. Let me go ahead and type it up, or you want me to say it first?
As you wish.
I was just gonna say, let's hit him hard. It doesn't amount to a hill of beans. So sometimes it's deep, sometimes, or most of the time rather, it's just hard to understand.
I was going to say, that's where I can see it being the hindrance, is that if he's got a saying for it, it's a way of calming him down and focusing him, and that can work for him. But then in other cases, he's speaking
communication is key.
And the communication is just completely off. And it's like, I'm not going to bubble on the top of it. And you're like,
God.
what?
Yeah. Madder than a wet hand. All right.
Yeah, like two beans in a pod. Yeah.
Two beans in a pod. I'm not talking to you until the cows come home. Yeah. All right. Yeah, I got it.
Cool.
Awesome. Yeah.
So
So
we
pretty
mentioned
much, I got. Yeah. I'm sorry.
Yeah,
Go ahead.
No, please.
I got the name already, so
Oh,
I'm just
yeah?
typing that up, and it's
Cool.
gonna be Edward Bailey.
Cool. And we look for a call sign, a short version of a name that they'll use over the airwaves. What might that be for your character, Kev?
Oof.
So far
I'm
we've
just
we've
yeah.
got racer, knowledge, whiskey, and supervision.
Oh shoot! What could it be?
Yeah, we kept the most difficult question for last. You know, once you got one name, it's like,
Yeah.
oh, that's a really
Yeah.
good name. It took
simple
you
as
ages to get
cowboy.
it, and now it's like, yeah, cowpoke,
Oh.
rawhide.
Prospector.
Oh man, what could it be?
Yeah, we hit you not with what is your name, which is usually the hardest one. It's
Yeah.
what's your name twice.
Yeah.
It's double the trouble.
Okay, double. Yep. Okay.
Oh, wait. No. Actually. Oh my god. It has to be Ranger.
Oh wow. Okay.
Yes.
I'm sorry. It has
Yes.
to be Ranger.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yep.
So, by the way, our tweet got liked by Cortex, so that was nice. The Cortex RPG.
That's
Right. So, Mike, what's the next part of the sheet? And I will try to keep showing mine. Unfortunately, I can only show my sheet because I'm a player, but I will show you the NPC sheets at some point as well.
Sure. So just while we have that on screen, sorry, I'm sorry for that brief interruption. So each of the quirks has spend a plot point to do something, and also a second ability, which is about adding dice to the crisis pool, something you don't really want to do, but you might be tempted. So you start with a plot point. You earn a plot point if you take the hinder ability, and you can spend them, as you can see, in these three ways to start with. So that's one of the uses of plot points. There are others, and there's a handout you guys can have a quick look at if you ever need to check. But we'll come across those as we come across them. So hopefully that's the three distinctions. It's given you a basic idea of who your character is. And if we scroll all the way back up to the top there, sorry, let's just have a look at your name and the...
Oh, yeah, I need to put that in. Jack... I've got Turkish relatives and I can't think of a Turkish name right now. I'm going to say that they married on the other side, and his name is Jack Harris.
Okay. And you've gone with name. Ranger as your call sign for Kev, is that right?
So what?
You've gone for Ranger as your call sign.
Yeah, it had to be.
Cool. Yeah. I'm going to drop your character profile picture in. Just while we're looking at that, but if we can have each of you now in the top left corner, there's a edit tab. If you want to just tick the edit box, that will bring in a hover over pop-up that then allows you. I've got that. That will allow you to start changing your values on each of your traits.
Yep.
So the first one is picking your portrait, which you've already done. Beneath that are the three attributes: physical, mental, and social. And these are the primary attributes that are going to be used throughout the game to dictate what kind of action are you taking. Is it a physical action? Is it a mental action? Is it a social action? And you can assign a 10, an 8, and a 6 to these attributes. So in whatever order you wish.
Didn't I also read you can just keep them at 8s if you wish?
You can just keep them at 8s.
I didn't do that, but it did seem to be an option.
Yeah. Okay, a 10, a 6, and an 8. I think it's my physical. I'm going to keep at an 8. I think because he's a problem solver and he's focused. One thing that he was able to do a lot more as a cabbie. I'm going to switch this to 10. And I've just realised doing that on OBS is going to make it flicker, so I will do it on my other copy of this. And it should change it on OBS. Right, so that's my attributes done. Kev, what have you decided on?
I went for 10 on physical, 6 on mental, and 8 on social.
Mm-hmm. Excellent. And now the training packages, there's a radio button to control whether or not the hints are on, and this basically gives you a description of what each of the training packages are when you're rolling over. Sorry, I'm going croaky. 1 second. Not a good start to the session. GM's voice starts to go already. So when you're actually in your character sheet, you can use the training package hints by hovering over the name of the package. It will give you a brief description of what the skill does. So if you want those on, you can switch them on and off here.
Right.
Then you've got crowd control, emergency, medical, firefighting, hammerhead. These are the training packages, basic skill sets that you will be able to assign values to. You get 1d10, 4d8s, 4d6s, and the other 5 are d4s. So I believe set all of them to 4 already. So all you need to do is upgrade those to 6s, 8s, or 10s in those sort of groupings. And Kev, which one would you think is going to be your number 10?
I'm going to go for crowd control.
Cool.
I went for the piloting.
That was kind of the focus you wanted
piloting, so that's what I was going to do.
Yeah, I'm going to go for mechanic as mine.
I was going to guess.
Yeah.
And then you've got 4 8s each.
I think I'm going to go for technical analyst, which is just out of shot at the moment. So let me just get it so that you guys can see that. I'm going to go for technical analyst as one of my 8s. How many 8s?
Sorry, yes, thank you. And then assign the 8s. Sorry, what was it you were just saying yours was going to be?
My 8s are going to be technical analyst, hazmat. Oh, actually, we've got some 6s as well, haven't we? So, in that case, mine is going to be technical analyst, urban recovery, because urban, logistics, and I'll go for hazmat. For my 8s. So,
Kev, whereabouts might you put your 8s?
All right, I'm going for firefighting, hammerhead pilot, logistics, and I want to go for emergency medical. Yeah, emergency medical. I think.
I'm trying to stop myself from accidentally highlighting stuff so I can show people the. So yeah, you've got emergency medical there on the one side. And then after that are 6s, I believe.
Sure. So now we're going to be putting 6s in. 6s are sort of like, it matters to me, but it's not something I'm particularly good at. Whereas 4s are, I don't want to rely on this kind of skill.
I'm going to go marine recovery, firefighting, hammerhead pilot, because you always need a backup, and network specialist. That's computers, yeah.
Okay. So I mean, once you've got your training packages in, the last part of the pull down should be relationships. This is where you connect with the other members of your crew.
I haven't done this bit yet. So.
Yeah, exactly. So I thought bring Dave back in on this one as well. There should be now I've added an extra one. So I've been a bit cheeky because there are only 7 relationships in the actual Hammerheads game.
Okay.
But for me, it's got to be symmetrical. That's one of my
All right.
obsessions a
I
little bit.
approve, Mike.
So I
I
have an
absolutely
8.
approve on that.
I relate. Yeah, I relate. It's fine.
It's just the way that the character sheet on mine is laid out. I was like, "There's a gap."
Yeah.
And where I can fight that, I want to do something about it. So if you want to establish one relationship at 10, one at 8, the rest of your relationships are at 6. So you will have one to each of the other player characters, and I would suggest just leave the 6s for the NPCs. So you're going to have a 10 with. You're going to have a 10 with Dave's character and with Kev, and an 8 with Kev's character, for instance, or vice versa.
Okay.
So how do we?
Then the NPCs will have 6s.
We can just edit the.
And the relationships dice. So as you've been going through the character, if you go through the character sheet, there are yellow boxes for all of your traits. The relationships are in green. These are because you give these dice to other people when you assist them. So if you're involved in helping them, they get to roll your relationship dice in their dice pool.
Oh, right. Nice. Okay.
All right.
So pick something that somebody has done for you. So Kev, having a look at your list, if somebody saved your life, does somebody owe you for a favor you've done them? Who in the group makes the most trouble? That kind of thing.
See, person next. Oh, okay. I can change it. Wow.
Yeah. So you can
change the person.
Read it. Yeah.
My apologies. Yes. So you can type over person X to. So Dave is racer. Simon is the knowledge. Kev, you are the ranger. And having a racer and a ranger in the group means I'm going to have to pronunciate.
Yes.
Would you like me to check? Because I don't mind changing my. I think ranger's awesome, but I'm more than happy to change my call sign if we can come up with something a little easier to tell the difference.
Just put boy at the beginning. Boy
crash.
racer. It's fine.
Car crash. Crash.
Car crash.
Crash. Actually, I don't mind. Crash could work. Actually,
Speed racer.
Okay.
Let's swap me over to Crash. I like that. Yeah.
Okay.
Right.
So Dave's call sign is now going to be Crash. The pilot
Everyone
of your
likes being
vehicle.
flown around by a guy called Crash. It's canon. Yeah. Okay.
Yep.
Right. Yeah. Okay.
I think it's an in joke, right?
Yeah.
Because I don't actually crash. Honest.
Just real quick question. We have to fill all of the person.
No.
X,
So
right?
you would have. If it was a larger group, you'd have more, but you only need a relationship per player character.
All right.
So we're only looking to fill 2 of these as it is because there's only 3 players. And then we will just assume you have a D6 for any of the NPCs that you come across.
Here's a question. Do we have to use the 10 and the 8 on the other 2 players?
So technically no, but
here's my thinking.
Let me help you out. Hang on, guys.
Right.
So a 10 doesn't mean you particularly like the person. It may mean you just have to give them more help because they're such a letdown.
Right. Okay.
So it's either the amount that you have to help them, or the amount that you can rely on them, or the way that you inspire them, or they inspire you. It's a measure of the value, not the quality.
You see, I was thinking about this.
Maybe the other way around: quality, not value.
I was thinking about this in the idea of like size character is dependable, in my opinion, but perhaps isn't actually that dependable. So perhaps doesn't rank a D10.
All right.
I think that's fair.
No, I don't mean that. What I'm getting at is that if we weren't to use this 10 and the 8, say if we want, could we put a 6 in here? I'm not suggesting I'm putting a 6 in here, but I'm just curious, can we save the 10 and the 8 for other characters that we come across?
So these are for your crew relationships.
Right.
And I've given you 2 NPC crew members to sort of bulk out the numbers. Whether you keep them on board or not, I'm not sure.
Okay.
We'll look at that once we've got the balance of skills worked out. So, for instance, Whiskey is a medic, a surgeon. So if you keep them on board, then you would have a relationship with them. And yes, you could give them the 10 or the 8.
Right.
And therefore relegate one of your human players to a 6. And I have no problem with that. That is the intent of the system, is that you would have a group of 4, maybe 5 players.
I think
and you wouldn't have enough good dice to pass around to everybody.
I don't think that's my intention. I want to be clear on how we can do this.
It's a good way to explore it.
So, Dave, what's your character's name? Sorry.
Oh, right. Sorry. So I'm playing Bradley Anderson. You guys can call me Brad if you want, but not in front of the cameras because I paid a lot of money on that focus group and Bradley tested well. So.
Bradley Cooper.
So, yeah. I am thinking I'm going to put dependable on Versailles because I liked the idea where we were actually sort of in sync with the way our characters were coming at this.
Cool.
I just don't know what dice I want to put in there yet.
Good. Okay. Sai, what's your
I'm knowledge or Jack, whichever one you want to use.
Yeah.
Oh, did I change it?
So what were you specializing in, Kev? What did you go with as your number 10?
Crowd control.
Crowd control.
Yeah.
He's the authority.
Yeah, he's a wrangler.
Yeah.
I know how to herd. That. A wrangler of people.
I know how to herd the cows.
Stop calling the victims cows.
Victims. Stop calling them victims. Okay.
All right. So I have I still need for supervision and for whiskey, right? Or that.
So I say if you're going with an 8 and a 10 for the player characters, then the sixes are going to the NPCs. And other than defining which of the relationships is for which, I think leave that alone for now because we may or may not actually include the NPCs. They are there as backup characters if you need them.
All right, cool.
So if we focus on so you're.
I'm going to bash mine out quickly. I'm going to say that Crash is a liability.
Possibly.
But I'm going to give him a 10 because the reason why he frustrates Knowledge so much is that he's a liability and yet gets the job done, and that grates on him the most. And then I'm going to say, he's not the. I've got a 6 in my social, so I'm going to say that Ranger knows this stuff, and I'll give him the 8.
See, I'm looking at this and thinking knowledge is dependable, and I've given him an 8. And my thinking behind that is that I don't feel like I need to tell knowledge the plan. He just instinctively knows what's going on, even when he doesn't. So yeah, I'm kind of a act first and then explain to him what I'm doing afterwards kind of guy. But he always seems to pull it through, so that works, right? So I'm actually thinking. That with Ranger, I'm going to go for source of inspiration because my character is very media hungry, and his ability to handle crowds and sort of get them to do what he wants is something I'm a bit envious of. So I think I'm going to go with that and put Ranger in at a 10 on that.
Good luck, Kev. You're the social character.
Oh man,
you're the one who has to apologize for us.
Yeah,
I'm not bad at social as such. I'm just,
I'm thinking Johnny Storm from the Fantastic Four.
Oh yeah.
For how your character is.
That's who you're going to model yourself on.
I think, aren't we all doing that? That seemed to be like what we were all going for.
Originally, I was going to play Hollywood, my original Lancer character, just an adrenaline junkie, and then I heard you were a crack pilot, and I was like, I'm good sitting back and doing someone else instead.
So, for me, Crash is going to be the troublemaker. He's a number 8. I really need to keep tabs on you, boy. And Jack is a source of inspiration, and that's my 10 because we come from more humble beginnings, and here we are.
Right. What is our thinking? Are we putting the other 2 in on this now? Is that 6s?
So I've got 2 NPC characters set up for you, and if we I'm going to pull you across to the dashboard screen on Roll20. So we've now got the crew on, or you may have to scroll out a bit as usual. Roll20 never, I don't know, whenever I do it, Roll20 never seems to know what size display things at.
Yeah, it's even worse when you're on OBS. Give me a sec.
Yes.
Right, so
My thinking is, if Whiskey is the doc of the group, I think she saved my life more than once. Probably pulled me out of a few fires.
I've cut off the crew on the right-hand side, but there's a picture of Whiskey, who's an Asian woman, and she's the medic.
I'm seeing that on my screen side. It
Yeah,
looks to me like they're all on screen.
They're showing up. Yeah.
Thanks for that.
Oh, yeah.
What I will do is
that's
get you
because
to
I haven't
cut
done
them
that yet. There we go.
Well, maybe the screen needs to catch up with me then. That's better. Yeah, because that's the next thing I was going to ask
I
you to do.
haven't
Was
hit
focus on this
transition
side
yet,
for a minute.
and rather than changing everything live, I'm using studio mode. Okay.
So I've laid out on the dashboard here. There are the 3 different Hammerhead models: Hammerhead 1, 2, and 3. And you guys basically need to pick which of those you're going to be running with tonight. So, which you are the crew for one of these 3 vehicles.
Do we know
which one is the vehicle?
Do we only get one vehicle, or do we get to pick it? Like
you have effectively one vehicle. You are the crew for this vehicle.
So we don't get to like pick the most appropriate vehicle for the mission.
No, but there's some tweaking to come. There's some tweaking to come.
All right, cool.
I mean, based on what I've read, my choice would be 1 or 2. I'm not particularly interested in number 3.
I originally thought that 3 was the most like Thunderbird 2, but it doesn't have the drop pod or anything like that, so I'm actually easy, and also it's got the shittest looking frame. So
yeah,
I'll go with either 1 or 2. So Kev, this is the Coven rule, my friend. You've got to break the lack of decision making of the other 2 people. Would you like somebody who would you like one that is better at scanning? Or would you like one that is faster?
Well, actually, I'm going to go for number 2. That was my first choice.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
You've got a happy pilot. Yeah, cool.
I would have been happy with either one, because the systems boost also allows me to make tight corners. So either way, they're both good for racing. So that was entirely my decision.
Go Speed Racer.
So I am right. Racer. You are going for number 2.
I think that's agreed with everybody. Yeah.
Yes, sirree.
Okay. I'm just gonna redo this a bit. There we
go.
Oh, okay.
Wait.
So, just to the right of that, you have a resource pool. Tactical support, medical supplies.
Again, don't we get to know the mission before we...
Food, shelter, land, sea, air support. Yes. So you will be getting a brief before you fill these in, but you also have 7 additional D6 to sink into these. Clearly, no one can have more than 4. But you can choose to, obscure a couple of them and just not put any more in. They all start with 1 dice in for free. And between you'll be deciding how to split those amongst the 5 pools that you've got available. And there's a brief description of the kind of things that you can find in there. So when you're putting together, when you're attempting to do something in this game, you're pulling dice together from your character sheets. So you'll pick an attribute, you'll pick a training package, you'll pick a distinction. You'll add in some assets or other things that might assist you. But those 3 dice are the primary pool of things that you will then roll. Then you'll keep 2 of those, adding them together to get your result. And 1 of the remaining dice in your pool will be used as the effect. After you have rolled, you can opt to spend 1 of the D6 from one of these resource pools as an extra dice that's in your pool. So you can use these after you've done everything else. If it looks really bad, you can opt to do it. But once it's spent, it's gone. So these are depletion, dice.
Right.
So that's the next part of it. Also, you have, if you're using the Hammerhead ship itself, then you have systems, engines, and frame dice. You also have 3 distinctions specifically for Hammerhead as well, which are, I'm going to zoom in on those so I can just make that a little bit better. But they are, it's a resource support vehicle, it is the top of the line, and it has broad spectrum sensors. So if your own distinctions aren't necessarily going to help, then you've got those. But also, should those distinctions have any negative effect on your roll, then you can also use the same rule of using the hinder on those to gain a plot point. Instead of the D8, you roll a D4. You'll see what all that is going to be impactful on as we get closer. So the 3 of you and any NPC characters that are going to be included are bundled into Hammerhead 2, and Racer takes the controls and gets headed to the coordinates that have been provided. And as you are flying en route, the crisis is described to you. So Hammerhead HQ comes through on the radio and displays light up around you with details. The situation, team, is that there's a dangerous level of sandstorm about to hit the metropolitan city of Agrabah. We need you all to first find the traffic that have been overrun as the storm approaches. We need you to rescue the drivers and anybody else in the vehicles. We need you to get the city prepared for the sandstorm, or find some way of diverting the sandstorm, dissipating it so that it does not sweep through. This thing is of alpha level danger, and this is a walk in the park for you guys. You've gone through these kinds of challenges before, and you know each other and each other's strengths. You know how to work together as a team. You know the resources that this ship, this fine Hammerhead 2 vehicle, will provide for you. So I leave it in your capable hands to get on the ground and the air and solve this one.
Okay.
Over and out.
Sandstorms it is.
So between you, can you pick your team leader for this mission?
Not me.
There we go. I've managed to stop Scornfuse going nuts by giving you a slightly better control pool there. So it no longer says land, sex, air support for you, Scornfuse. The word is C. And I've put Hammerhead 2 down below us and given us some plot points as well.
I promise you that all the quality issues are just through streaming, not on the actual dashboard that I put together.
The dashboard is actually really high quality. It's trying to get it so it's like, oh right, we're going in here now.
Yeah, but I
Roll20 and OBS have never liked each other.
The occasional typo could slip through, so don't put it past me to have land, sex, or air as a support feature. Okay.
I'm fine. I'm not the social character. Kev is, so he has to deal with that one. I mean,
Kev's in charge.
He's the party
bard,
so I'm hands off.
All right.
By
Sorry.
Everyone else stepping backwards, Kev, your ranger is going to be in charge. Could you then decide which of the resource pools is going to get an extra D6 in it? So you've got 7 to put in, and you can spread them as you wish between those 5 groups. You all have control over these dice for moving them on the screen, so you should be able to move and drop them into the blocks to show that they've been assigned. Discuss amongst yourselves what you need.
Awesome.
I think shelter very high up on the list.
Yeah.
Which one? Sorry?
Shelter.
Shelter.
Food and shelter.
Yeah.
I think so as well. Food and shelter. Let's actually put 2 on food and shelter, shall we?
Yeah, because if it's high winds, sandstorm, that's definitely going to be a thing.
We, I don't know if we're gonna need any more medical supplies if we're trying to not get people hurt. So let's not aim for failure here.
Yeah.
How before we get there may well have been some people who have already been hurt.
I thought the sandstorm was approaching.
Mike, is it approaching or is it
I
hit?
misunderstood. I think I thought it
So
was.
there are buried vehicles on the approaching roads towards the city.
Oh my god!
Yeah. So
Okay, so yeah.
yeah. So I think medical supplies. I don't think IT network support is going to be huge because no one's going to need that. Well, I wouldn't have thought anybody would need that kind of stuff until all this is over anyway.
Yeah, for sure.
Um,
Do you guys want some land, sea, or air support?
I would say that's probably going to be more important because you're going to get a lot of difficult terrain whether you're flying or going over land in a sandstorm. So I would say that's probably important.
So that's like dune buggies or drones or maybe or something like that.
You said dune buggy. You can't go back on that now. I've never had a dune buggy in an RPG. I want my dune buggy.
All right.
And I'm driving that dune buggy.
I'm crashing that dune buggy. All right, so
that you'll have to get in line for. So.
All right. So,
I mean, my thoughts would be tactical support and IT network support are the least important.
For sure.
But I think the other three are quite important.
So 1, 1, and 1?
I mean,
one for medical, one for food shelter, and one for support, land, sea,
I'm
air support?
I'm happy to say that, but what do you think, Si?
Yeah, I'd say that's fairly fair. Yeah, I would go with that.
All right. These people are going to be fat after rescue. We're going to bring a lot of food and shelter. We're going to be super plump. Let's go.
This is where we find out that the sandstorm is actually nanites, and we needed to hack it to deal with it. And,
oh my god!
Everyone's going to die. Yeah.
I mean, you've given me a plot idea now.
Well, you know.
Oh my god! All right, let's continue.
You still have one dice in each, remember, so it's not like you're completely devoid of IT network support or tactical support. And again, the descriptions for those are at the bottom of the resource pool section. It was nice watching that happening, not on Roll20, but actually in the Twitch, just seeing the sort of magic of the dice moving around. Okay, so I'm going to activate the 2 crisis pools.
Okay.
I don't know where they appear. Oh, they appear.
So they should be above the crew to the right.
Yep, I got it. So I can bring that across so that you can see. So the crisis pools are 3 6s for buried traffic and 3 8s for approaching sandstorm.
Yeah. So this game can almost run itself. I mean, obviously there was a lot of setup here. But once you've decided what the overall disaster is going to be, you assign a few dice to a crisis pool. Then you are basically rolling that crisis pool to establish the difficulty and then taking an action against it in the hopes that you will then roll an effect high enough to reduce or remove one of the dice in the pool. So it could be that this is a take 6 actions and the game's over if you roll well enough. But there are going to be things that you get wrong that add to the drama. Okay. So when you're rolling your dice, we'll do a quick test of this now, for instance. So I'm going to just roll the buried traffic as a difficulty for you guys. And to do that, I'm just going to roll 3d6. Now, it's automatically added those together, but you only keep 2 dice in your effect in your result by default. So I take the 2 best of those, and that's going to give me an effect of result of 10. So that's the target number you're going to now need to beat on your own dice roll. So, Si, would you mind popping your character sheet open? There's a dice roller button on the sheet.
Mm-hmm.
I chose you because you've done this before with the Tales of Xadia game, so you basically know what we're up to on this.
Yeah, I remember everything from that.
Everyone else can be doing the same as well, but we'll just use Si as an example.
Yep.
I'm an example. Right. There we go.
You're setting an example for it.
Dice pool builder. There we go. What am I trying to achieve? I'm trying to achieve test. And which attribute? I'm going to go with mental. Which training package? I'm going to go with Network Specialist. And Distinction, I'm going to say is nothing at this point. And no other dice.
Okay.
And so, what's going on there?
So Size rolled
Okay,
his mental
there we go.
attributes, his network specialist training, and his distinction, which has come out as a D0. Do you put it as no, not important?
I put it as not important, yeah.
Okay. I mean, that's unlikely in most roles, but it was a good example of how to actually use the tool. Normally, you would say at the very least your approach is going to be the way that you're going about something, whether it's going to help or hinder. But you've rolled 2 dice. You rolled a D10 and a D6, and on those you've got an 8 and a 4. Add those together, it's a 12. That's your result. And the result beats the result that was rolled as the target number. So you succeed at your attempt to do a test. Had this been a dramatic interaction with the crisis and you were attempting to do something that would affect the crisis, your effect dice would be compared to the target dice in the pool. So they're currently D6s. You haven't got an effect dice, so the game would give you a D4 as an effect just for free. Right. It's not going to beat anything, but it's enough to step the crisis pool down by 1. So one of the dice would go from a 6 to a 4, which is significantly weakening the dice pool. So the next time somebody rolls against it, it's instead of rolling 3d6, now it's rolling 2d6 and a d4. And that's the basis of interaction with the elements of crisis that are in this disaster. Yeah. There are 2 separate crisis pools, and they represent kind of separate elements of what's going on. So, for instance, the approaching sandstorm is the sandstorm itself, but also preparations maybe for it that are being made in the city or other locations. So you could be divided amongst different locations. We'll be switching back and forth between you to decide who's taking an action. And again, if we need to, we have the 2 NPC characters that you can insert if you want them to be doing something, and we'll make dice rolls on their behalf as well. Okay. So, do the rest of the players kind of follow what we're doing with that?
Yeah, I mean, I've played Cortex before, so I kind of get the general gist of it. But yeah.
And I think, Kev, this might be your first time with the system.
Exactly. I think I get the gist of it. I'll learn by doing.
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah. And
so there's maybe one other.
Oh, sorry.
There may be one other element that we should touch base on, and that is whenever a 1 is rolled, that dice is a hitch, and it should be discounted. It can't be put towards a result. It can't be used as an effect. It's not a valid dice for either of those pools. I can pay you plot points to buy that, and if I do, then I can create complications or add stress to your character. Okay. If I roll them, you can pay a plot point to, I think it's step up one of your assets, or I will check, because it's on the
stepping up an asset, by the way, Kev, means to increase the dice. So D4, D6, D8, D10, D12.
Activate an opportunity. If the GM rolls a 1 on the dice, that's a type of hitch called an opportunity. Players can spend a plot point to activate opportunities to either step down an existing complication or step up an existing asset. So stepping down makes a complication smaller. Stepping up makes an asset bigger. Okay. Assets are just additional traits. So, for instance, you might have a scene where you're hacking a computer or something, and you've not got a specific, you've got the training package of networking, but you've not got the specific skill for computing. You could just spend a plot point, create an asset that is a D6 specialty skill of hacking, or you could be liaising with some people in town, and you need to have that one connection that you can call on to make things go smoothly. So you've suddenly got a relationship at D6 with somebody in the background. Or it could be a tool that you've packed. Okay, I reach into my tool bag and I've got the thing at D6. So spending a plot point will give you that small edge, which is an extra dice you can include in your dice pool.
Right. I would suggest, Mike, because we've got hour and 50 minutes left, and we will have a 10-minute break in a bit, I suggest that we get started.
Sure. Okay. Okay, so I'm going to pass you to Kev, who is your team leader. And Kev, you get to decide what the first action is going to be against the crisis pools. So this is on approach to Agrabah City and the surrounding desert area, as large amounts of sand are billowing through the skies. They've overswept many of the roads, and traffic are trying to make it to safety as you guys are struggling to locate a place that's either safe to land or some areas that you can begin to set up a base of operations.
Right. So I turn around to the crew and go, all right, everybody, let's everybody giddy up. It's blowing up a storm up in here. I'm open to ideas. We gotta hit hard and hit fast.
Yeah, fast, definitely. I say we gun the engines and get there as quick as we can, boss.
I don't know. I mean, I think we can use getting there as a bit of an asset. Yeah. I was thinking we could drop flares from 2 along this highway here. That way they'll be able to see the flares. They can barely see each other, but those things they got phosphor in them. If we could drop flares along the way so that they can see where the next place it is to go, rather than just having to watch the car in front. Maybe that'd be a better thing to do. So maybe
kind of like, yeah.
Maybe not. Maybe yes, a bit of speed, but can we drop them at the same time? Maybe kill 2 birds with 1 stone. Get working on it on the way there.
Signaling like an escape route, you mean?
Well, yeah. I mean, look at all this traffic. They need to get either into town or out of town. Either way, if we can drop these, I mean, they're not going to burn any of the cars. I mean, they might char a little bit of the paintwork, but they got worse problems at the moment. All their cars are being sandblasted, like. But yeah, they get they got a way in and out of the city, and also if we can drop it between the 2 lanes, I mean, that's probably a little too much of an ask. They'll know which side they need to be on as well.
Okay.
You want them perfectly lined up between the lanes? That's not too much of an ask.
All right,
he shrugs and completely
Kev,
misses
who
the
are you going to assign
sarcasm.
this task to?
Yeah.
Kev, who are you going to assign the task to?
I'm going to assign a task. Let's go with Crash. Get in and out of there,
Okay,
man.
Crash.
And is in and out. Okay, right. So go through this with me again, Mike, because although I have played before,
Okay.
it's been a while.
So from the character sheet, hit the dice pool button.
What I'm querying.
So Crash is attempting to lay down a clear path.
Yeah, lay down a clear path.
Okay. And you're doing this to aid the buried traffic?
Yeah.
Then I will start setting up that dice.
Incidentally, for the viewers, you can see the schematic just below me on the screen, but also behind me, there's some fantastic art for this, which I'll be linking shortly.
So, Dave, your target's going to be roll 9 or higher.
Right. Okay. So I want to use some of the right. How do I include the ship?
Okay, if you want to use the ships, if you want to use the ship's attributes instead of your own, then pick your attribute that matches the one on the ship. So if you want to use the engines to go fast, then you're looking to add the 10 in instead.
Right. Okay.
If you want to use the systems so that you're lining up the
but it's replacing my attributes. It's not combined. Then.
Yeah.
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
The dice roller is clever. It's not quite clever enough to pick that.
Yep. No, that's fair. That's fair. Okay, so I'm going to use the speed. Then I'm going to use the engines because I think that from my character's perspective, even though we're working on the buried traffic, there is a time issue with the sandstorm coming in. So I want to make this as quick as possible, and it also gives us the 10. This could backfire and mean that we overshoot or whatever, but it's how he rolls, right?
Sure.
So obviously I'm going to add
I'm guessing you're bringing in your Hammerhead
pilot, of course, yeah. And then for distinction,
So you could be looking at one of these as actually being a hindrance to begin with. So
Yeah.
you're not going to get a very cinematic shot buried inside a sand cloud. So you could actually see that as a bit of a hindrance.
I was thinking about that, like, because if I'm laying flares down behind me, I've got like this trail of fire, and then sort of bring the engines to bear down on the ground, and the pressure sends sand flying away, leaving a clear spot, so that we have a cinematic landing kind of thing.
Then that's a cinematic shot. That's
so I'm thinking I'm going to add my celebrity in on that. Yeah.
Okay.
So beneficial.
In amongst these, you have spend a plot point to step up an attribute when you connect to your old life. You've not done that really.
No.
Spend a plot point to re-roll your dice when you align with your true nature. Don't think you're taking a risk, so it doesn't fit. Or spend a plot point to double your relationship dice when your assistance helps somebody else. So none of those are going to be helpful to you in a minute. But there is also the add a d6 to the crisis pool in 3 categories as well. I'm going to guess you don't want to do any of those either.
No, I'm not. I'm not really looking to give the crisis any help right now. So.
Exactly. Right.
Are either of the guys wanting to do a relationship thing?
Sure. So you can get some help from some of the other crew. Somebody could be on the systems, for instance, giving you guidance as to where to plant the flares, or preparing the flares and literally throwing them out the back.
Yeah.
So those are things that somebody could be doing. And you would just add that into the other dice section as with the dice they give you. So is anybody able to assist Dave with this role?
So we have to give him dice from our relationship with him, yeah?
Yeah, so he gets the dice on your character sheet side. So should we do that? Simon, what's your relationship with
my relationship is that he's a liability. So what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to go to the... pretty much the mapping software of the Hammerhead, and I'm going to be making breadcrumbs on his HUD.
Okay. Yeah.
So he gets a D10 for that.
Okay.
So you roll those, Dave.
Okay. Let's see what comes out. So I've got a 10, so I beat it. And I've got a 10 free, so I can. Do I eliminate a die?
So,
if I'm higher?
So you've got 2 5s added to your 10 is your result, yes. Then you've got 2 dice available to pick from, both of which are D10s. And yes, having a dice that's higher than the dice in the target pool will eliminate one of them.
I think not only have the flares laid a track which is very visible even through the sand, but I think what I suggested about the jets blowing the sand away has actually cleared some of the road and given the cars a bit more of a chance to actually get away.
Not to mention doing a Top Gun style flyby over the top of the cars, which has satisfied your ego no end.
and I pulled off that landing so flawlessly. I mean, that's clearly going to have to be used in the trailer for this TV show.
Yeah, for sure.
So supervision is on the speakers and is blaring out to the passengers and the drivers below to follow the path that's been laid out, to those that are at the edges of the buried traffic, those that are easiest to get out. They're able to pull away and start the journey to the edges of the city and to get to the relative safety, or at least the temporary safety. So she's giving instructions and guidance, and you can see that the first of the free cars are making it down the sand-strewn highway. And yes, you've sort of cleared a little section of the road beneath you, and around you it's clearer, and there's a direct path that people are able to fly off down the road to safety, away from the falling sand around them. So I'm going to mark that Dave has taken an action, and I'm just going to do that with a big red cross through his face. On the crew. You're welcome. So Dave, who is getting spotlight next? Who gets the
do I get to pick
next?
Yeah. I think I'm going to pass it on to Ranger.
Okay. All right. So I want to take this opportunity to get people's attention and start redirecting them and getting to clear out.
Okay.
Yeah, it's to follow the sign that we just put out for them as much as people as I can, just so we can evacuate this part of the.
You're bringing your crowd control skills to bear to bring people safely into direct traffic and to maybe dig out a few vehicles if needed, or offer assistance in that way.
Actually, yes, but without the vehicles. Don't focus on on anything material right now. Just everybody try to get, as safe as.
It's more encouraging them to move forwards. Okay.
Yeah. If there's any vehicles buried, just make sure there's no people inside. But if, just carpool with somebody else. All right.
Okay, those that have made it out of the buried vehicles, you're directing to free vehicles to.
Directing to carpool and get out. That's what I'm trying to achieve.
So the
social, I would say, yeah. Attribute.
Yeah, I think you're definitely interacting with people directly. So.
All right. Social, crowd control for sure. Distinction. Actually, I will do hinder.
No.
Okay.
Yeah. I'm gonna go for I talk in all sayings.
Okay, so they're not quite clear what you're telling them.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm dragging over another plot point for you. You've got 2 plot points now.
Right. So other dice, I don't know if anybody's helping me or if I need anything else.
I mean, I think that if you hadn't have used your hindrance, your negative there, I would have put down my inspiration, because he's such an inspiring, charismatic guy that I look up to him, that I would have just been like, yay, supporting you. But I think I'm also clueless as to what you've just said to everybody.
All right. I'm gonna give
that does mean maybe Dave, you come in with a in case that wasn't clear, maybe rephrase it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. I could do that.
So what relationship dice do you have?
I have a D10. I have a D10 for Ranger. I look up to him so much. So.
Okay.
All right. Cool. 1d10.
It's not a difficult roll. Let's see how you do.
No, I think you're gonna ace it. So.
Which you do. Very effectively.
All right.
We'll come to that in a moment.
You rolled a 1.
We'll come to that in a moment. You have rolled a 1, so I'm going to give you a 1. So I'm going to give you another plot point.
Awesome.
All good. You're now at 3 plot points. I'm going to buy that.
Start
10.
using them, Kev, because any more plot points, and I'm going to be end up obscuring your face, mate.
So right. I'm going to put a D10. I'm going to put a D10 complication out, which I'm going to stick somewhere. I've got some space, which is over above Hammerhead 2, but I'll keep track of that. So what's happening there is, so you succeeded, and you succeeded very well. I'm going to come to that in a second. Your total there is a D10 and a D6, 16. Mm-hmm. Anytime you beat the target number by 5 or more, it's a heroic success. And every step of 5 increases your effect. So let's take a look at what you've rolled there. You've got 6 on a D8, a 10 on a D10, a 4 on a D4, and a 1 on a D10. So we take the D10 out. So that's creating a complication that I'm going to use against you.
All right.
That I'll come to in a moment. Your result, I'm going to assume you're going to take the 6 and the 10 for the 16. You could go other directions, but let's go with that for a minute. Okay. The 4 then would be your effect, which normally wouldn't be very impressive and probably not enough. But every heroic level of success steps up your effect dice. So that turns it from a 4 to a 6 to an 8. So your effect dice becomes an 8, which is larger than the 6s that you're trying to eliminate. So it eliminates one of the dice of the buried traffic. Okay.
Nice. That was a lot. I'm sorry. I zoned out.
I'm using it as a good example here.
Yeah.
The target was 6. You rolled a 16. Success.
Awesome.
Your effect is quite small, but because you're so successful, it steps up. It steps up again. Your effect is better.
Awesome. Okay. Cool.
That's going to eliminate one of the D6s. So you've managed to get people to carpool. So buried vehicles are staying in the sand, but people are getting out of them and
All
helping
right.
each other, getting into cars that are free, and they're using those to get back to the city.
All right. Yeah.
The complication is that I think actually rather than a complication, I'm going to give you some stress. It's a D8 stress,
Mm-hmm.
and I will add. So I'm going to make it that you're exposed to the elements there,
All right. Cool.
and your physical trait is 10. So I'm going to add 8 physical stress,
Yikes.
and that. Oh no, it's a 10. It is a 10. It's not an 8 you rolled a 1 on, it's a D10. So I'm adding a 10 physical stress. So you manage to get people involved, but your exposure to the swirling sands either is it's incapacitating you somehow. It's flaying at your skin, or you're finding it difficult to breathe. The apparatus you've got on gets jostled by somebody as you're helping them, and that exposes you to actually breathing in some of the sand or something. So what's happening here is that one of your attributes now has stress that is equal or higher. That means that you're stricken by the stress that's on you.
All right.
This basically means that if you're using that trait, if you're using physical in a test in the future until this has been dealt with, that dice gets added to your opposition. So
Okay.
I'll be able to roll that against you. But also, because it's so high, until you've received medical attention or somebody has dealt with this in some way until it's relieved, you need to get that step down at least once. Otherwise, when you're rolling a physical action, you only keep 1 dice, not 2.
Okay.
Which will makes you very, very difficult to achieve things in a physical sense.
Yeah. All right. Got it. Awesome.
Still very successful though. You've managed to save lives today, and we're down to 1 dice left on the buried traffic. So
yeah,
I'm going to mark you. I mean, there's only 3 of you taking actions, but I'm going to mark you as active. Sai is next, and I'm going to introduce something that I think Sai's come across before. If all of you act, the next thing that acts is the crisis pools. You can let the crisis pools act instead at an earlier stage. You can offer initiative to the crisis pools, but when the crisis pools act, they take an action either against one of you guys, or I simply add a dice to one of the crisis pools.
Right.
That actually makes me think we let Sai have his go to see if he can get rid of the traffic.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. I was going to attack the other pool, but that makes a lot of sense. Otherwise, Mike can just start adding dice again, and that sets us back.
Yeah, exactly.
So yeah, there's no different to D&D, isn't it? It's numbers. Let's get rid of something.
Yeah.
In that case, jumping out, I can see that one of the big things here is that their usual measures against this are not as effective as they could be. And I'm going to look at what in this country would be a snowplow, I guess. Not that we ever have that much snow here. You'd do better to have like a dust plow or something. But I'm going to go with it. There's some sort of thing that normally clears sand off the road. Yeah. And
basically, you're taking a vehicle from the Hammerhead bay at the back. You're going to drive out into
one of the city's own vehicles that they use, and I can see that it's struggling. So he's going to come out and he's going to quickly boost the engine, or at least get rid of whatever's getting it. They're saying it's probably the timing belt or something, and he's going to charge out and he's going to create an asset for the city to start clearing start clearing the way. So it's going to be a mechanical solution to.
I mean, because assets are reserved word, I just want to check what you're basically saying is you're fixing a problem.
I'm fixing a problem
which is
I've just narratively put
there's
in.
a broken down recovery vehicle. There's a broken down local recovery vehicle to help clear sand or dig out some of the vehicles, and you're stepping in to fix that up.
Yeah,
okay.
I'm going to fix
and
that
if
up.
You
it's
roll,
looking a little dilapidated, so yeah.
If you roll well enough, then that's going to knock out this last dice as it swoops in, clears the sand out of the last few vehicles.
Yeah.
And it's going to be pretty difficult for you not to roll well enough.
Oh, okay.
So I will roll 1d6.
You had to challenge me. Right. So
I rolled a 1. I have 0 on my results. You can pay 1 right now. You can pay 1 plot point right now to activate that. Any one of you can. If you do that, then for instance, you could use it to step down Kev's stress. So if Kev wants to spend a plot point to step down his stress,
I think Kev earned enough of them. So Kev, because Mike has rolled a 1, which basically he's crapped out, we can use our plot points to exploit it. And one of the things we can do is step down stress. You're the only person with stress. Do you want to use one of your 3 plot points to step down your stress?
No, I want to keep them. I'm kidding. Yeah, let's use it.
Yep.
Yeah, sure. So drag the plot point off your character by clicking and moving it on, and then just delete the one wherever it lands.
All right. It's there.
So, the giant challenge that I have here is to beat an almighty 1.
Mm-hmm.
I will attempt to do this.
You've basically just got to not crap out yourself.
Yes.
If you don't end up rolling all 1s,
I've got to make sure I don't roll 3 1s. Yeah, so that's the main thing.
Please don't.
So what am I trying to achieve? Repair civic vehicle. And it's a mental skill. It's a mechanical skill.
This is definitely a street level issue.
Yeah. It's this is like, it's, like back on the Hammersmith Bridge where that breakdown truck broke down and I had to go and get the cam belt back on, and it's a thing. It's a thing. It's a whole thing. The distinction in this case is definitely a thing. I'm not going to go for any other dice at this point. It is what he does. He doesn't need anything else on top of that. So let's see how we go. Barely. But I did roll a 1.
Okay, so So I'm gonna say that yes, you've got the. So tell us how the truck's going. You beat it by a heroic success. So the free D4 that you would be given is instead stepped up to a D6.
Right.
Because you had no other dice you could keep. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
So your 3 and your 2 are added together for your 5. So that's your result. That's taking your dice out. The remaining 1 you cannot keep because it's a 1.
Yeah.
It's a hitch. Therefore, you have a 6. It's not higher than the dice that you're trying to step down, so that dice just becomes a 4.
Okay. So yeah, I am. I'm attacking this, and actually, Mike, if I rearrange this so that I can't use a 1. So if that was a 2, I could have used 2 2s and thrown a 3, and but it doesn't matter. So I don't know what your hitch is going to be, but I've charged out, and it's rough. He knows that he hasn't got time for this. He wants to get it done, just get it, and that's pretty much the simple solution that I talked about before. Simple is beautiful. He goes in, he pretty much repairs most of it with his bare hands. He's pulling things back into place. He's scooping crap out of bits. He's stuck his head in and blown off a spark plug and all the rest of it. I presume I'm going to get some stress out of this for the 1. The thing kind of chokes back to life and starts to help the situation.
Okay, yeah. Well, it does that. It helps the situation certainly. So you see it moving through the sand mound, and it brings out vehicle after vehicle come out of the piled up sand, and you are able to you're going to, like I say, reduce the dice so that it's gone, but it's down to a 4, which isn't good for me. And when I next roll, it's going to be pretty terrible for me. But you have not got all of the people out, so it's revealed a number of vehicles. And the complication that I'm going to give is that the rather than give stress, because I want to try and expose different things in the game system.
Sure.
Because this is another D10, and I realised how harsh it was when I gave D10 stress as the first thing. So apologies there to Kev on that.
Yeah.
I'll create a D10 complication, and I will have some of the people that have now been freed from the buried sand, the burying sand, are unconscious.
Okay.
So I'm going to have unconscious passengers as a D10 complication.
Yep.
Which I need to get closer to because I've typed it and I can't actually see what I've typed. There it is. Unconscious passengers.
So does that add to the crisis pools then?
So that's an additional dice separate to the crisis pool. You can use your effect dice when fighting this crisis pool to deal with that, and that will still be an issue even if you deal with the rest of the buried traffic.
Right.
So I'm going to step that up to a 10, and I'm going to seriously take a look at how I spelled unconscious later. I'm not entirely sure I got that right.
It's okay. It's not on the stream. It's fine. You spelled
Excellent.
it. You spelled it perfectly.
We know what it is. So all three of you have taken an action there, and so I will take an action with the buried traffic to add a d6 to that. As I don't see any particular way that buried traffic would attack any one of you, I'll use the action to instead increase the size of the crisis pool.
Okay.
So on the next attempt against that, I'm rolling a d4 and d6 as the difficulty. I can bring in the unconscious passengers as an additional dice as well if that seems suitable, especially if you're rolling against or trying to affect that. The approaching sandstorm, I'm going to actually have that roll against Kev as a social challenge. So Kev, you're going to be setting the difficulty for it to roll against. So if you can establish communications with the city and see what the situation is there. So I'm looking at you making a mental or social roll there.
Right. I'm going to establish comms with the city. Submit social. Let's see. I think I have logistics.
Sounds good. Yeah.
Distinction. Actually, I will use not a hinder this time, but my hitting it hard and fast.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're trying to make sure you come stumbling back into the hammerhead, feeling overwhelmed by what you've seen outside and the sand that's sort of been flaying you alive. Rushing in, and you almost get to sit down before like the comms start beeping at you. You're like, just straight onto it.
Right. And before that, I will go ahead and if I can speak to Jack, as in like looking for support, if he can help me out.
Yeah.
Say, all righty, Jack. Can you patch me up to the comms within the city. I need to speak to.
Yeah, sure, mate. You're going to need to have a boost. Hang on, let's see how much power I can get out of this. I run back into the loading bay of the Hammerhead, and I start reassigning power to his systems to the tune of a D8.
Right, 1d8. I think it's a D10. I have a D10 on.
But it's his dice for you, not your dice for
him. I give you my dice on a relationship.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Okay, so I'm like, thank you very much, man. My transmitter died out there. I'm spitting up sand over here.
Yeah, it's a bit tasty out there.
Guys.
Okay, but you've rolled well, but there is a D8 on there. So I'm going to be rolling 3d8s.
I need to stop rolling a 1.
Yeah. So I'm not able to overcome that problem, but I'm going to be giving you a plot point.
All right.
And I'm going to use that. I'm going to use that to step up a dice in the sandstorm. Which I think is one of my options. People can correct me if that's wrong, but it feels adequate. The sandstorm is definitely interfering with communications, but you and your team managed to strengthen that signal. What information do you need to deliver to the city? Or what information do you need from them?
Well, if they do pick up, I'm gonna say, all right, people, we need some land support and air support to pick some people up. We need to bring him back home. I don't think this bridge is gonna hold much longer. And there's a storm brewing over here, and we need help pronto. If you catch my drift.
Well, somebody at that end has watched plenty of westerns because they understood everything you said on that dice roll.
They play Red Dead Redemption too.
Yeah, they pick you up loud and clear. They're prepping their medical facilities for the incoming, but we can't. We have nothing capable of getting through the sandstorm to reach you. Can you get the unconscious patients to us? Is their request?
Yeah, I mean, if we can get them loaded up, then I can fly them over there.
Yeah, either you want to get them in here, or you want to use the support dice in the resource pool if you need to. But yeah, so that's where we are at the end of the first round of interaction with the crisis pools. And so we were talking about taking a break.
I was about to suggest it myself, so well done. Yep, we're going to take a 10-minute break. And thank you, everybody, for bearing with me as the screens have been changed. I have got a lot more graphics up now, so whilst we've all been taking our turns, we've had some of the lovely Hammerhead art coming up. I have to say, I don't know who's responsible for Cortex's art pool, but my word, there's some lovely stuff on that site. I've been ripping it and pulling it in as we've been going along. They even had a sand Hammerhead person with all the various bits, so I've been putting various things up as well. I do have character sheets, character sheet for myself actually, so I can show you the sheet in total at the moment. So this is the sheet that Mike put together. He's taken the photographic character portrait. Where did you get that from again, Mike?
So that's from a website called This Person Does Not Exist. It's an AI deep fake that produces randomized portrait pictures. And I've started using these almost exclusively in all my games at the minute.
Yeah.
Either for contemporary, such as these, or I use some filters and stuff to sort of age or move them into different time frames if I need them for fantasy or other settings.
I must admit, I've never used an actual photo of anything other than me before for a character sheet. When they first proposed Dave's character, because Dave did his character first, I was there saying, hang on, who's this dude? You know, you got to be careful putting that stuff online. And then, then it was like, oh no, this person literally does not exist and has never existed. And I was like,
Yeah.
Okay.
So it's this person does not exist.com.
Okay.
And every time you refresh the page, it's a completely randomized person.
Nice.
And I even have some NPCs ready to flash on screen, but we'll look at those when we look at the unconscious people in a minute, maybe.
Okay. Well, we're going to take a 10-minute break. We will see you when we come back. And welcome back, everybody. And I'll hand straight back over to Mike for the rest of the game.
So we left off before the break. We've had a significant impact on the buried traffic beneath the sand. We've not yet started to deal with the approaching sandstorm, which is worsening as it approaches the city limits. There was good progress, but we haven't quite dug out all the vehicles that have been left here. But you're definitely going to need to start splitting up and tackling with different things, especially as you've realized that the remaining buried traffic may not be on the same road by which you are parked.
Right. Okay. That could be a problem.
Okay.
So, Kev,
Fearless
how do you
leader.
want to divide your forces?
We've been working on the wrong side of this damn bridge, everybody.
Well, you know, I suppose you've got to work both sides, haven't you? Okay. So we're going south of the river, yeah?
Yeah, let's split up. See what the gang comes up with.
Yeah, split up. You know,
Okay.
nothing ever happens when you split the party. It's fine. It's fine. Okay. What do you want us to do, mate?
All right. So the city was telling me a little something about not being able to bring the food supplies, air, and the support we need for the moment. So we need to redistribute our efforts toward prevention and dissipation of this storm, I think. So I reckon we try to hit the storm as hard as we can instead of the people. So we split up. Some of us will handle the people. Some of us will go towards the storm. I'll let you pick which.
Well, I was thinking that the two things I could be used for that is either I could be out there and, you know, kind of sorting out, clearing up the roads around the bridge, or I could be here and helping people batten down the hatches. Which one do you want me to do?
I'll go with the latter.
Okay. So start bolstering the city, yeah?
Yes, sirree. What about you, Crash?
Well, if that's Knowledge's idea, I think that we. I'll get out the tents and try and make some shelter up here. Is that a plan? Do you reckon? Try and get some somewhere where people can actually get out of the storm, because that's the next thing that's going to hit.
But here's what I got. Here's my problem. I think we're not looking at this as in the long term. I think we're looking at receiving and dealing with the effects of this sandstorm instead of going to the sandstorm itself and just dissipating it any way or form we know how. It's not our first rodeo either.
Yeah, I mean, we're not going to be able to dissipate a sandstorm. I mean, that's wind, isn't it? You know, it doesn't matter how big an explosion you're going to put on there. All it's going to do is just bend around it. Are these real? No, that one's not a real picture. But the previous one, that was a real picture, right, Mike?
Oh.
Can you hear me, Mike?
Yeah.
Yeah. The previous picture, was that a real picture?
Aerial shots of roads in the desert.
Shit. Wow.
All right.
Yeah, because that's insane.
Yeah, I mean,
Okay.
How do we get rid of a storm? I mean, you want me to fly up there and try and lead it away? What do I do? What do I do with this, man?
You batten down the hatches, don't you? You minimise the effects of the storm by making sure the people are right. I tell you the one thing that I'm concerned about in this city. Sand, yeah, sure. Sand will hit walls, no problem at all. It's other things that's going to be picked up. Sandstorm's like a big old sandblaster, yeah? It's like you use to strip the paint off things, strip rust off old things. It breaks things down, yeah? Now, I see billboards around here. I see aerials, masts, things like that. One of those comes down. That's going to hurt a lot more people than sand, yeah?
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, this isn't just regular wind. I mean, we've had hurricanes, we've had tornadoes. This thing here, this is wind with substance, yeah? It's going to be able to pick up a lot worse. It's going to be able to push things a lot more. It's going to have more clout. It's going to throw cars down the street, mate. So that's what I'm talking about. I'm talking about going in there and start, pointing out parts of the city that's going to cause a bigger problem. Yeah, because you're behind just even a regular domestic wall. That's all well and good until a billboard comes through your wall and breaks that wall down, and suddenly you've got a bunch of people who are dead. That's what I'm going to suggest. I'm going to go for, Ranger, unless you want me on the other side of that bridge sorting out the traffic instead.
I'm going to answer Dave's question as well. I think you were asking, how do you stop a storm? This is the.
I wasn't really asking
this
the
is
GM,
high tech.
but yeah.
This is the. Okay, sorry. This is the high tech feature.
So
I hear voices, and I don't know who they're from. They could just be inside my head. I don't know.
we've got magic anti storm technology. Is what we're saying.
Yeah. So what I'm saying is that there are drones that you could deploy. There are anything up to and including weather control satellites that you could bring to bear. Who knows? But that's kind of the hint you get from your resource pools as well. Those dice are there. Don't forget for when you do roll badly.
So regarding that, they just added in because I assume they don't replace the other dice.
So yeah, you can look at a bad roll and go, actually, also I'm going to spend some of the resource pool.
Do you roll it or just put it in?
So you roll those additional dice. So you specify how you're falling back on the technology.
Okay.
Sorry, Dave.
You can wait until you've made the roll originally before you add them.
So those are bonus dice that you can bring in after you see your results. You can go, you know what? I also relied on this. Or you can even preempt it and say, I want to use some of the resources. Because you can just, until you need the dice involved, you're not spending the dice, you're just using the resources. Flavor, narrative. I'm using the medical supplies to bring these unconscious passengers around. If your dice roll is bad, you then spend some of the medical supply dice to boost your roll.
Okay.
Does that make sense to people?
Yeah. I'm looking at this and I'm thinking that maybe I should be focusing on getting those unconscious people out of the area, or finding some way of helping them. I'm not a medic. I'm not likely to be the one that's going to be reviving them, but I can be the ambulance that can get them where they need to go. Yeah.
And Whiskey is your team's medic if you want to call on her along with you.
Yeah.
So you could leave the others here or in other locations along the way if you want to drop them off with support from the resource pools available. Just you just retcon in that, oh yeah, we kept hold of some of the shelter resources in this location, or at site B we put the air support drones, that sort of thing. You just narratively build that back in when you need it. So Dave, if you're taking an action to get these unconscious passengers to the city, then that's rolling against buried traffic. I would be including the D10 from the unconscious passengers. And then you're going to be rolling against that, describing what dangers you face, how you overcome them and stuff.
So I think it's going to be a very similar thing. So I'm looking at this as effectively being Whiskey gets the unconscious people loaded onto the Hammerhead, and then I ferry them out, basically. But we can use. I think part of it has to be finding with the unconscious people. You put down that there are unconscious people there. Are we aware of where they are, or is it a case of there are unconscious people in the area we haven't sort of discovered where and how to rescue them yet? So what does the asset represent?
Okay, so the complication, D10, unconscious passengers, is the severity of the medical condition.
Right.
So we could look at, again, some these people do not exist type images of your the people that you're finding and digging out. They're going to be buried under the weight of the crushing weight of the sand dunes that have fallen upon their vehicles. Maybe the vehicles were crushed on top of them. So we're looking at impact injuries. We're looking at broken limbs. But basically, these are unconscious and potentially at death's door. I mean, we could have much larger problems. We have multiple complications, but this one's at 10. If it got to 12, that would be enough to, stress something out, maybe take somebody out of the scene.
Okay.
So you're digging people out and finding drivers, and you're finding drivers, passengers, families, parents and kids traveling caught unawares as the sandstorms came through.
Right. So if I say this is basically me getting some of those people into a position where they can be rescued by whiskey, then. So if you're saying there's people trapped in the cars, buried under stuff, I think that what I'm doing here is I'm getting them out. I'm getting the cars out from whatever they're buried under. So getting them out of the sand, getting them into a position where whiskey can then get in and actually assist the people inside. So I think I'm using like some kind of winching mechanism or something, some rescue equipment out of the Hammerhead. Is there a...
So this can be an entire series of camera shots, Dave. It's not just one.
Yeah. It's not just one individual thing.
So it's getting them out, getting them onto the Hammerhead, flying the Hammerhead to the hospital, unloading them. That's the whole.
I'm thinking about it too literally, really, aren't I? Right. Okay. Yeah. Cool. All right then. So what I'm going to do then is I'm going to go with it being an urban recovery role for me using physical. Yeah.
Okay.
And I'm going to put in aggressive risk taker as my approach, because it's I'm not going to care at all about my own safety in this. It's going to be get everybody out, regardless of what the cost is to me. So I'll go with that, and my plan is to basically try my best to clear things away so that people can get into the position where whiskey can help them. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Whiskey can help.
I'm going to put down
in all situations.
Yeah, I saw that. It made me chuckle a little bit. So what am I trying to achieve?
Buried traffic and the complication of roll of 12.
Right, okay. Right, okay.
I'd like to say that being from the UK, one of the many things that we are just completely lost to, we don't have any deadly creatures here, like an angry badger is the most dangerous that we can come across. I'm just looking at this scene.
Swans, dude, swans.
Actually, swans are evil. Yeah, swans definitely.
Sorry, go on. Sorry.
I just brought a picture of a sandstorm hitting a city on top of the on the stream here, and oh my god, that looks devastating.
It's
we are so comfortable in this country.
How let's just deal with the storm. It's simple, no problem. I'm actually thinking I'm going to put my risk taker down as a hindrance, not a beneficial, because I want to use this to say I'm going beyond what I should be doing. I'm taking too many risks.
Yeah, so your natural instincts don't necessarily drive you to back away from those dangers. Maybe you're leaving it to the last minute just that one too many times.
Yeah,
you can get one more person in before you have to go, kind of thing.
Yeah, exactly. I'm not stopping when I should do. Yeah. So definitely going to go with that. So I don't know if anybody.
So you get a plot point for that.
Yeah. So I don't know how. If anybody, I don't think anybody's assisting me here. Any of the guys, but
you could call on whiskey, which will get you a D6, but also don't forget that post roll you can call on the.
That's what I was thinking. I can use
point.
the assets if I need to sort of rescue whatever happens. Okay, so let's just go with this then and see how it goes. Oh, not well. Oh dear.
Okay.
Well,
Yeah, those tens keep rolling ones, dude. Those tens keep rolling ones.
Yeah.
Okay, so Yeah.
I mean, for what
I'm
you're
gonna-
doing, land, sea, and air support sounds like it would come in here, but you'd have to roll. How many of them can you roll? You'd have to roll.
I mean, you can spend as many as you want.
Well, I was wondering if I take one from the medical supplies as well, and maybe just do the 2d6, and then represent that as like whiskey's coming in with things like jaws of life and stuff or
Yeah.
the spreader bars or whatever they are that deal
Yeah.
with crushed cars. Yeah. So what do I do then? I take one.
So
out of
you're
each.
leave the dice alone. I've got this. So you're spending the first dice on medical, yeah?
Yep.
Mike,
Okay.
one of the things I was going to ask is that whiskey has a relationship. Racer saved my life, and that's a D10's worth of relationship. Is there any way of putting that in, or have we crossed the?
Yeah, why
Rubicon?
not? Let's put
Whiskey
that
has
into
that.
Dave.
I'd put that down on mine as a D6 that she'd saved my life. I
Then
didn't think that was
the
the
D6.
because I figured
Oh,
I figured
both-
this. I figure I do this every day, and she has to patch me up after this.
Okay.
So-
Well,
Makes
in
sense.
some
Yeah.
way, you pulled her fat out of the fire at some point. You
Maybe.
pulled her fat out of the fire at some
Okay.
point too, and she massively. The reason she doesn't hold a grudge that she has to save your ass so many times is that you really came through that one time that she needed it.
Right. Okay. So am I adding a D10 and a D6?
Yeah, go on.
then?
Roll a D10 first.
D10 first. Okay.
Get another one for me. That'd be good. That's almost as good.
Almost as
Okay,
good.
so
right.
you've raised your total to a 7.
Uh,
Okay.
uh,
So what we're looking at here is just before you start spending on the dice, just take a look at what you've got to do. You've got to beat
12.
12. Your
So, I mean,
highest rolling
even a
dice at the minute is a
D6.
4.
Yeah,
Right.
and even with the
So-
D6, am I really going to hit that?
There is an option.
Mhm.
You can spend plot points
Yep.
to add more dice from your pool into your results.
I can't because I don't have any. Oh, you mean I could add the?
You've got
No, I
two
can't.
plot
I haven't
points.
got any to add. It's a 1, Mike. The other one's a 1, so I can't add it.
Right?
But
So
you've got
so
a 2,
far
a
you've
4,
got
and
a
a
2,
3.
a 4, and a 3.
Yeah.
You're going to keep 2 of those.
Oh, right, of course. So I could put it up to 9, but 9's still
But then you'd have
But
to roll
then
more
add the
dice.
D6
right.
or as many of those as you want. You've got 2 plot points. So let's see what you get. If you want to spend the dice
I
from
can't
your
use
thing,
both plot
do that.
points, can I? Because I've only just earned 1 on this roll, so
Yeah,
I
no,
can't.
no.
I can't use the 1.
I'm buying that off of you. I'm going to say you've
Right,
got it.
okay,
I
so
don't
I've
think that's
got
the
it, okay.
rules, but I'm going to say you've got it because
Okay.
dramatic.
Can
all
we
right.
add
Okay.
plot points to other people's rolls?
Not for that kind of thing. You can spend them to buy my opportunities. So you guys could
Okay.
buy opportunities that I roll
Right. Okay.
in other people's turns.
Okay, so I'm going to use 1 for medical supplies. Do I use any of the others? Can I use any of the others? Like if I were to say,
Yeah,
like,
you can
like
you
a
can spend a whole
land
lot.
sea air
You-
support. So there are other.
As long as you can narratively explain why they're useful in this scene, yeah, you can use any of them. You could spend the whole lot. You could
So
spend
I'm
every
going
dice
to
you've
say
got.
that I'm using from land sea air support some kind of like one of the vehicles we've got on the Hammerhead is the dune buggy that Si suggested earlier, and then I think that I'm out in that.
So you're using
like,
that to ferry people back
to
and
ferry
forth.
people back and forth. So yeah, so I'll go with that for 2d6, and then we'll see where that comes. What that comes out as. I don't think it's going to be enough. I think it's going to be a lot of resource. A lot of resources on an epic failure.
So you can add a 6.
I can add a 6. I'll add that 6,
Right.
which
Which
is
if you
enough
then
to get
spend-
me to where I need to be if I spend the plot point. Yes.
Yeah.
So I'll spend the
So-
plot point.
So a draw it goes in your favor. Okay. But as it is,
Oh, I see.
Um,
So I don't.
you're keeping 2. Let me double check this. I think the resource dice.
I still have to spend 1 to get. Do the resource dice get added without me having to spend the plot point?
I'm
That's the
trying to
question.
remember. Sorry, guys. First time this has been done. Resource pools.
Never roll more dice. It just means roll 1s. I know this. I know this.
That's the thing. When they say, "Oh yeah, you can just give yourself a D4 instead of your D8," and that's a hinder, and you get a plot point. You go, "Okay, sure, Okay, I'm not going to get as high a number, but what's the downside? The downside is a 1 in 4 chance
this
of
is
a
the
1.
downside.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Although I am starting to get this thing from the Discord from that Nick put up a Calvin and Hobbes thing where Calvin's mum is explaining the system to her, and he goes, "Hang on, this hasn't got anything to do with dragons. This is math."
That was me. That was me.
Oh, was it you
yeah,
that put it up?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
But yeah.
Normally that's Nick's thing. When I saw
right.
it, I was like, "Oh God, that yeah." Sorry, yeah.
No, I'm a huge Calvin fan. So.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
All of life's wisdom, right there, in Calvin.
Absolutely.
I'm a little worried because we look at these dice pools here, and we started off so,
I thought we were doing well. Yeah,
we were doing well. I thought we'll get rid of buried traffic, and then we'll go and go for the big one. The actual sandstorm. And now the sandstorm's got bigger, and where they're trying to dig out
still trying to dig out traffic.
C5.
So the actual rule, I'm sorry guys to have done rules research in game, but so the actual rule is that you roll X number of those dice, you choose which ones, how many. You keep the highest, and you automatically just add it without plot point cost, because it's costing your team. As many dice as you roll, you don't get those back.
Okay.
You can keep one of them for free and put it straight in.
Oh,
so I've got the 12 then without needing to spend a plot point.
So you've got a keep of 7, and a 6 added to that gets you to 13. So yes, you've beaten the 12. Does that seem right?
Yes. Sorry. Yeah, because I can choose the 3 over the 2. Yeah. Yes. Okay.
Yeah. Does Dave have 2 plot points or 3?
I have 2. I haven't spent one yet. So,
okay.
But there's another one that I've rolled. So
yes. So I paid you for that already, and that 10. I'm going to use it to step up the complication.
And this is so I've done nothing really, haven't I? Because
that's not fair on you then, is it?
I will then step it down because I'll then step it down again. So no, hang on. Have I got a 10? Have I got a 10? Is that because I can, if I use the 2, I can have the 10 left over, and then I can just I can then deal with it, can't I? Because I'm equal. Or do I have to be higher to deal with it?
So for the viewers, when you do a roll in Cortex Prime, you roll a dice pool that is made up of lots of different dice, depending on what your stats are. You pick 2 of the dice from that pool to see if you can beat a target number. Then the thing that's left over, you pick one of the other dice that you didn't use, and that dice, not the value on the dice, but the dice type itself tells you how big your clout is. So, for example, if you roll a d8, a d6, and a d10, and you get a 2 on the 10, and on the other 2, let's say 8 and the 6, you get like a 6 and a 4. Your result is 10 by picking the 2 largest ones, but because the d10 is left over, it has d10 clout. Whereas if it was the d10 that you were relying on to beat the target number, maybe it would have been the d6 that was left over, and it would only have d6 clout. So there's a hierarchy of successes in Cortex Prime. Anyway, carry on, guys.
Okay, Mike. Do I have to beat the number or equal or beat it? Because if I have to beat it, then I'll spend a plot point and step it up to do that. And say that even though I've gone through all this and I've gained all these complications, I have at least achieved the task.
Yeah. So I think rather than stop you from succeeding, your success is to save people. I'm going to put so let's see. So yes, your total needs to be equal to get a success.
Right. Well, I can do that without a plot point then. So if
without
I go
plot point, exactly.
So I will do it that way then, and I'll save the plot points for later. But I go on. I'm still going to get. Are you activating both of those ones? Am I basically going to get crippled from second?
So I don't think I get to activate the second one. I don't think I get to activate the second one because that's not. I'm going to assume that's not the purpose of those dice.
Right. Okay.
And that's just the way I'm going to run things. If you roll 1s on the resource pools, I'm not going to activate those. But the 10, and it just happens to keep being 10s.
Yes.
So I'm going to do what we did with Kev, even though I regretted it after I did it to Kev. I'm going to give Dave 10 stress, a
Absolutely.
D10 of stress.
That's exactly how I
think
saw
what-
this happening. He's rushed in there.
Yeah.
He's not paid attention
Yeah.
to himself. He's
We're
just
going to be
dragging
exhausted
people out
at the
left,
end
right,
of this,
centre.
so yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah.
it makes sense. You know, I don't think anybody
So I
comes
think-
out of sorting out a sandstorm and comes out unscathed. So
No, yeah,
I
I
think
think
that's-
I'm going to put that on your mental stress, Dave. I'm going to make it so that it's actually just exhausting mentally rather than physically.
Okay.
And again, I'm going to slip in little bits like this. So, for example, the one that was rolled was on a D10. If it was a one that was rolled on a D4, it would only be D4's worth of stress. If it's rolled on a D10, it's the downside of using your big dice. You get D10's worth of stress. So you pushed yourself harder, but then you fell over. So it's basically tripping over at a walk or tripping over at a sprint. The tripping over at a sprint hurts more.
Yep, absolutely. Okay, well, I mean, I'm happy with that, I suppose.
Yeah. So, and your effect dice is large enough to step down the
Is it not? Hang on, though.
complication. It has
No,
to be bigger.
no. That's
Has to
why
be
I was
bigger to
asking.
eliminate it.
That's why I was asking, because if it needs to be bigger, I'll spend a plot point to step
But you
it up to
don't
a
have
D12.
a D12.
Oh, of course I don't. No. Okay, no. Yeah, you're right. I step it down. Yeah, fair
So
enough.
what you've done is you've got the unconscious people onto your onto Hammerhead 2, and you're flying them to the hospital.
Right.
That might actually be that this is effectively out of your concern. It's now being handed over to the local hospital.
Yeah.
Right. If it becomes an issue later, we can look at that as a complication that may raise its ugly head. But effectively, you've dealt with it because you've removed it from the scene.
Okay, so here's the thing, though. I haven't dealt with it, though. Effectively, so the effect, I'm not complaining, but I mean, the effect is I've achieved nothing because it started at an 8. You stepped it up to a 10, and I stepped it back down to an 8.
It started as a 10. I've given you stress. It's remained at 10. You've stepped it down to an 8.
I thought it started at
Your
an 8. My
action
bad.
was successful. You have removed these people from the scene and taken them to a hospital. Effectively, therefore, that narratively is going to solve the problem.
Yes.
If, when we get to the hospital later and it's overcrowded with people, I may bring that complication back into being important again. I've still got a D8 there that I could add into the mix for interactions around a hospital where, they're already overloaded with people that you've been ferrying in already.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. But for this scene, that's dealt with, and it's already 25 past 10, so
Sorry.
we need to move forward.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. We need to crack on.
So that's remove that from the crisis pool for the buried traffic. We have not even begun on the approaching sandstorm, which is definitely hovering overhead.
Yeah, that's the one
Kev.
that's worrying me. Kev, go for it, fearless leader.
Alrighty, look at this. I think we can't. If we can't stop it, we can surely slow it down.
Mm-hmm.
And the answer is, and hear me with both ears now, Jack. Water.
That's a lot of water.
Yeah. But okay, listen. If we can get some aerial support to drop gallons and gallons of water, at least we're going to have some of the sand particles just crumple down and just fall to the floor because it's too hard to pick up by the wind. So we're mitigating. We're not trying to stop the storm. We're trying to mitigate the effect.
You want to turn a sandstorm into a brisk gale. Yeah. All right. No, I'm in. Yeah.
All right.
Okay.
Are you assigning that to me?
I am assigning that to myself.
Oh, to yourself. Okay. Yeah. Do it, dude.
Yeah. Or wait. Before I continue any further, do I still have to wait this turn for the harm, or whatever the effect of that was? Because it's not physical. What I'm gonna do, I'm not gonna use that attribute.
I think you're by the sounds of it, you're going to be using some of the systems from the ship, maybe, or even though that's currently being flown away, it's the systems that the ship brought with it, kind of thing.
Yeah.
You're going to rely on the resource pools, although you don't have to roll those dice unless they come in importance. You may be using some of your training packages.
Okay. Cool. Because I wasn't sure if I understood correctly, if last time when you were explaining
No, it's
the repercussions. Anyways, so so I'm gonna go ahead and fly this thing over and drop gallons of water. I'm gonna call the city and see if they can give us some aerial support and do the same thing. And work with me here. We have if we're over a bridge and whatever, I think we can call up to the city and say that I can try to tell them to turn the sprinklers on all around city.
Okay. So Hammerhead 2's land, sea, air support includes firefighting drones, which have high pressurized containers or something that can easily be used to diffuse a suppression foam that could help to drag particulates out of the air.
Awesome. I'm gonna go ahead and do that.
so you sort of like hit the right keys on the control panels, crates open up, drones take to the sky, and there's like a flock of these drones just pouring out of crate after crate that you've laid out ahead of you. And the camera pans back as we see yet more rows of crates opening and dozens upon dozens more drones taken to the sky and heading out towards the approaching sandstorm.
12, okay.
Oh man. Oh geez. All right, so yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and roll. Cool. I'm going to try to slow the storm. How about that?
Yeah, and
Slow.
So you got plot points.
I was about to
You've
say,
got plot
add your
points.
D6 as well, dude, from the land, sea, air support.
Awesome.
Yeah, so you don't add those until after. You add those after as a bonus. Okay.
Cool.
But you have the plot points to, if you want, add more dice into your original roll, or to keep additional dice in your results, or to activate a second effect if you have the dice to do so. So that's a lot of options. Just step back through those. So you could, for instance, find a second training package that might help you, in which case you want to spend a plot point to add a second dice in from your training packages. You might say that you have a second distinction, either the ship's distinctions or yours, that you want to add in. Spend a plot point, add in another distinction. You can spend a plot point just to create a D6 asset to roll, include it into your dice pool. I mean, that's 3 different ways you could spend dice. 1,
All right.
add a second training package. 2, to add in a
different
system
distinction
from
yeah.
the ship or a distinction, right? You could spend a plot point to just create a D6, right? Now, a D6 asset isn't as good as those other traits, which is why I'm saying those first. So you can spend a plot point to add in a trait from a pool you've already selected, but you're spending a plot point to pull in something else, okay? You can certainly get help from some of the other crew members. That's more dice. And if you've got plot points left at the end, you can spend them to increase the number of dice you're keeping, or to have 2 effects at the same time.
Okay, cool. So
I'd like to trigger Ranger knows their stuff if I can, Mike, to give him a D8.
Yeah.
I might give him a little pep talk. You know, you've got this, pal. You know what you're doing here. This is a great plan. It's going to succeed. And give him like.
I'm unaware whether the rules let you have 2 people assist you, but I'm going to allow it because I want to see big things happen in the last half hour.
So I'm gonna give him my D10 of adoration.
All right. Thank you very much, everybody. So I'm gonna go ahead and try to slow the storm down, and so I'm gonna use what would the frame? No, actually the systems would be the appropriate. I think. Don't you think?
For this ship, yeah, I think the
systems.
Yeah,
systems.
because you're controlling the drones with it. Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna use firefighting as a training package.
Yeah, I see that.
Like that. That's good.
And then I'll decide on the plot points later. Is that okay? Or do I have to do it now?
Sure. So if you want to include dice now, you need to make that commitment. So if there are additional dice
yeah.
you want to bring into the pool, you may make that commitment, Matt. But with the 2 extra D10s coming from your crewmates, that might not be necessary.
Okay, cool.
But it is a 12.
I will add my distinction though, and hitting hard and fast. I think, right?
Yeah, you want to get in there and get.
Yeah, continue. I was gonna say, like Texas farm manager.
You may have done something like this for irrigation.
It's just like crop
You
dusting.
may have had a fire.
Crop dusting. There we go. There we go.
All right, old Jack. I'll tell you one thing. There was a big sandstorm back in Texas, and we just hosted down. So that's my experience. You can choose to believe me or not. Okay, 2d10s. Cool.
So you've got to consider.
Look at that.
You've got to consider that those 2d10s have added themselves together.
Yes.
Yeah.
So you're not keeping both of those, but you've got an 8 and a 5. That's your 13.
That's 13 right there.
Yep.
13.
And you've got 3 dice remaining.
One of which is a D10.
Yeah.
At least one of them could be a D10.
So that's a D10 clout on the success.
Right.
That's
So a
huge.
D10 will knock out one of the D8s. And the 2 remaining D8s could step down both the other dice. Or take one of the D8s down to a 4.
I'll spend a plot point then. Do that.
Okay.
Just to grab another dice.
So, immediate effect, D10 takes out a D8. If you want to spend a plot point, you can take one of the D8s and use that to step down one of the remaining D8s.
Yep.
And it's always the smallest dice.
Yep.
And that's going to take it down to a 6. If you spend a further plot point, bringing the other D8, you can take that D6 down to a D4.
Don't you take that D6 away at that point? Because an 8 plus 6.
I still have D4s that I have to roll.
No.
What I mean is that he's got a D8 left, which is higher than the 6 that now is.
Oh yeah, no, you're right. Sorry, yes, Dave. I see what you're
just
saying.
lead with the D10 on its own. Yeah.
Yes,
Then,
indeed. So
I'll do that then.
Yeah.
Two plot points. Yeah.
Okay.
Cool.
Sorry to be the rules lawyer there.
Yeah, no, Dave, thank you. That's something that I've not noticed before, but yeah, that works.
I'm hoping the guys are following a little bit as viewers, but
Okay.
what I will
So
do
let
at
me
some
just
point
lay that
is
out.
I will at some point record a how to Cortex with Mike. I think is a good thing.
That'd be great. So,
And I'll watch it because
narratively and specifically, the drones fill the sky and disperse into the sandstorm, laying down suppressive foam that drags the particles out of the air, like we said. Your initial effect knocked out one of the dice. Then you spent additional plot points to bring in more dice, and through that you managed to take out 2 of the D8s that were in that pool. You've severely dampened the approach of the sandstorm. It's still got some weight behind it. There's a D10 left in there for somebody else to deal with, and we still have a second site of buried traffic to deal with. And I think that's where we hand over to Si.
I'm not going to do the buried traffic. I'm going to see if I can murder the sandstorm.
Yes.
Okay.
So, I'm going to have my Hollywood moment. So as what's his name? Not Racer, Crash. As Crash was lifting off in the Hammerhead, Knowledge pulled out like a controller, pressed the button, and a module, Thunderbird 2 style, dropped down as he's taking off. And as the Hammerhead clears the module, a huge door goes
Dunk.
hitting the floor. And inside is the largest brick-looking vehicle you've ever seen in your life. It looks a lot like like one of those big trash trucks with a pair of forks on the end, although it's more complex than a pair of forks. Normally, this is the type of thing that you'd spike a dumpster, lift it above the cabin, and empty everything in the back, except it works in reverse. These arms go to the back, lift out whatever's at the front, and bring it out to the front. And the back is stacked with large metal plates. Knowledge is these are barricades. Yeah, in fact, as he gets inside, this heavy diesel engine starts growling into life, echoing inside this metal can as this gigantic thing comes out. Large wheels. We're talking like big cat hauler wheels, and this kind of coming from the pistons, even as it's turning. Power steering to the max. This Goliath comes out, and what he said before, he's like, there are things that are going to fall down. There are things that's going to be taken by the wind. Even worse if the sand is there. And also, there's places where the sand's going to kind of build up, and eventually just the weight of the sand will engulf people and things like that. He's going to be looking at that stuff, and he's going to be ripping through the city on the near side to the sandstorm, because he knows that's the one that's going to get hit. That's what he's got to do. So he's strafing back and forth across there. He's looking for shit that is either going to fall down onto things, at which point he will do one of two things. Either he'll prop it up using one of these big metal plates, or he'll knock it down preemptively by ramming into it and knocking it down in the right direction. So it's already on the deck by the time it happens. Other times he sees, oh yeah, this is a problem, and the arms will suddenly just go and put this giant metal plate, prop it up against like buildings and things like that, just to give it that little extra support. So yeah, I at some point I was like, I'm going to put a Thunderbird 2 module in this. The Goliath, not Goliath, sorry. Barricade is what it's called, and it's written along the side.
Nice, yeah. So I'm definitely seeing that, yeah. So effectively the pod falls from the chassis of the Hammerhead in the outer limits of the city. The door cranks open and you're driving it out, and starting to almost armor plate the suburbs and the outer limits of the city. I'm loving it.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm only giving you a D10 to roll against. Do not be a 1. No, I get a 10.
Okay. Okay, sure.
There was a 1 in it, if that helps.
Yeah, that's a word. Right, okay. Let's build a dice pool. So first of all, this is definitely a mental exercise. What am I trying to achieve? Armor plate the city. Because, at this point, you got to have a dramatic title. And then attribute. This is a mental thing. He's spotting things, and he's making the right calls. All of the guts, all the physicality comes from this gigantic machine. Training package. In this, I'm going to say it's urban recovery is what I'm going to go for this one. There's a few that I had an idea of, but I think this is the one that would be most applicable. Distinction, this is the cabbie. This is the cabbie that's coming out here. He's got he's got his
it's your history of driving.
Nav. Yeah, he's got his sat nav there, and in the same way that cabbie's there, kind of going, oh no, not this time. I'm not going there. He's just picking out problems in the same way that he would pick way back.
Got to avoid rush hour.
Yeah. And then on top of that, I don't think there's anything else on top of that. Are there any other dice that?
I think you're kind of on your own in this.
Can I help him with relationship die?
How would you be doing that? What's your relationship again?
Go back on my paper sheet.
What did you say you thought of me?
He's a source of inspiration. I got a D10.
So yeah, how does that relate to what he's doing now? Show me that.
I would say, well, just encouraging words, really. Just, hey, I always knew you had it in you, kid. I don't know if you're older or younger than me.
Well, he's been a captain for a long time, so he's probably a bit younger than me, late 30s, probably. Yeah.
So
okay.
I always knew you had it in you. Yeah.
What dice is that to?
Yeah, he looks about mid to late 30s. So yeah, we'll go with that. So that was what was it? A D8? Did you say you were giving me?
A D10.
A D10. Oh wow.
Nice.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm gonna roll so many ones. Right, so yeah, charging up and these self-standing barricades coming up the top of barricade, and also knocking over pylons and things like that preemptively, and off we go. Wow.
Yes.
That's a 15,
Oh!
and what was that? Was that a D? Oh no, that's a. I think that's a D8 effect, is it? No, what the other?
You got a 10. You got a 10.
Is a D10.
You got a 10. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So you beat it by 5, which is a heroic success, stepping up your effect dice. So you've got a D12 effect dice,
Yes.
D12
So you can
effect.
which is
wipe it.
sufficient. So the 10 that's remaining in the approaching sandstorm is taken away. So describe how that looks cinematically.
Cinematically, this is a crazy piece of kit. As I say, large tires like one of the big cat haulers. But one of the things it has about it, and I'm going back to a concept car show my dad took me to a long time ago, where on one of the concept cars, the wheels could turn around 360 degrees in the axle. Yeah. As he charges up, he plants this thing down. You can see to the side there's another one. There's another thing that he needs to bolster it off to the side, and you're thinking this is going to have a crazy turning circle. And as you do so, and the Thunderbirds music is going off in my head as I do this, the wheels just turn sideways, and this whole thing strafes over to the next one. And
In my head, those armor plates are kind of Iron Man based, and you just see them like it hits the side of the wall and all the way up the building.
Yeah, love it.
All the way up the next building. I mean, instant shutters on any windows, but they don't seem to mind.
Yeah. And by the time he's finished, a few minutes later, the whole one side of the city is shining with this kind of reinforced steel.
You have this brief moment where there's some office workers that have stopped working to turn to look at the approaching wall of sand, and then all of a sudden it just goes pitch black in the office, and from the outside you see this metal plate slap against the side of the building. As the sandstorm itself comes rattling against the metal, you can hear the sound of percussion against sand particles and debris clattering against the metal plates. On the inside, there's fear and horror as they don't know what's happening and expect something to burst through any moment. But as the sound sort of dissipates, the armor plating's form brings the force out of the winds around it. The sand just collects and pools around the base of the buildings. Those plates are scuffed and scarred, and there's scratch marks as some of the heavier debris has just dragged its way across them. Wind still whips around you, but it's dying down. You felt the buffeting of remind me, what's the vehicle called?
Barricade.
The barricade feels a little unsteady on its wheels almost for a moment, but its weight and design are perfect for this moment. The approaching sandstorm is dealt with. We have no casualties at the city limits. The sand buries some of the vehicles that have been left out on the road, but they managed to do proper evacuations. Everybody was inside or in safe locations. So it's just the last few people in the buried traffic to deal with. Almost anticlimactic after dealing with that.
Yeah, it's like, we managed to barricade ourselves away from a sandstorm. There's just the small thing of, human lives in the balance. I think this is the more important one that we're getting rid of now.
So, with that being the case, it is actually the buried traffic next, and I will use it to step up the D4 to a D6. What we'll do is say that the remaining traffic could be those vehicles that have been buried in the city, those that were on a second site out in the desert somewhere. But I leave that to you guys to describe. It's back to the top of initiative, effectively. You were all open to act. Dave's behind the controls of Hammerhead 2, returning from the hospital. We've got, Crash is behind the wheels. The knowledge is ensconced in the emergency vehicle that we've just deployed. And Ranger, you're at Site B with the equipment crates. Kev, who's up first to try and deal with the buried traffic?
All right. So, Crash.
Yep.
Where are you at, boy?
Just on my way back, so it won't be long. What
Do you think? Actually, we still have a problem with some survivors inside their cars and buried in traffic. Can you help me out with that? How can we powwow how to do it?
So yeah, we've got to get them out as quick as we can. Let's get everything. Find the last survivors. I can probably see who the worst cases are using the sensors on the ship. Target them first. Get them out as a priority. We've already got Whiskey helping out down there anyway. So I think if we can prioritize and sort of triage which ones are the ones that need the most help and get them out first. Yeah.
Do you think we can take this here hovercraft and use the wind pressure to unbury some of those vehicles with people buried inside?
Yeah, I think that could work. Give me a second, and I'll just swoop round and get a good angle on it.
All right, it's all you, man.
All right then. So taking that advice, I will use the engines from the ship to try and blow the sand away. Pick out the cars.
I just love the fact that we have this kind of Tony Stark-esque beautiful piece of kit, and we're using it as a leaf blower.
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay. So I have I've rolled a 1 for the. I've listed it as approaching sandstorm rather than buried traffic, but they are. And Dave, you have got mental stress, so right. I don't think this is a physical action, so I'm actually going to roll that in as well.
I was putting it in as the
engines.
The engines on the ship, so I think it is more technical based. I think I'm going to put in the ship's top of the line distinction based entirely on the fact that Sai has just said it is top level Iron Man tech that we're using here. Okay. I think that is a good point. It's like we've turned it into a giant leaf blower, and that is basically all we're doing here.
Bring your stress to bear, Dave.
Right.
I rolled a 10.
Okay, awesome. So just need to make the best roll ever.
To 13.
Right.
But there's a 1 in there as well. So I've rolled a 1. If you want, you can spend a plot point to claim that. You can step up an asset. You can somebody else can buy that to step, or you can buy that to step down your stress. It's been non-stop, so you've not really had a chance to get anybody acting on.
Can you buy that to help with this roll?
Yeah, I mean, what I
can't activate it.
I'm not activate it now. I can't remember.
You could do that to step up an asset, but you guys haven't. We haven't really stopped to make assets. You've only really been dealing with taking stuff out. So one way that we could look at that. It's quite late in the game, since we have like 9 minutes before we all finish. Instead of taking action to reduce dice in the pool, if you're doing something that couldn't necessarily narratively do that, you could say you're doing something that would build up an asset. You could take a test to make an asset, and that would have got you a effect dice sized asset.
I'm not sure that's the right way to go. I mean, just from a mechanical perspective, I think I'm going to need the plot points to try and clear both dice.
Yeah. Yeah, just keep all of the plot points, I think, is a good idea.
Okay. So yeah. So I'm not adding any other dice in at this stage. Unless anybody's giving me any support.
Maybe your assistance from Whiskey, she could be trying to counsel you, walk you through the sort of like mental trauma that you've been picking up.
Oh, Mike, can
So
I
bring
buy
her
that
down.
one to make an asset myself for when I go?
So, I mean, if you're spending a plot point, you create an asset. So Dave, for instance, you could spend a plot point now to buy an asset,
Hmm.
and then spend a plot point to buy that dice to step it up, and that would give you a D8 rather than D6. But that's going to take 2 plot points away to do it.
Nah.
Sorry,
Yeah.
you could spend a plot
It
point to
doesn't
create an
seem-
asset, but then
Oh.
you've got an asset. What use is that to Dave? Kind of thing.
Yeah, I don't think that an asset is the way to go in this instance.
The best uses for it at the minute are for Kev to buy it to reduce his stress,
Hmm.
or for Dave to spend a plot point now to reduce it for future. But
I
I'll
don't
leave
think.
that
I
open,
think.
Dave. You
I
can
think
do
I
that
leave
if you,
the stress. No, I think I leave the stress,
Yeah,
and I
leave
think I just.
Yeah.
I think I'm going to
if you're
need
successful, you don't need
points.
to.
Yeah.
If you're successful, you don't need to. If you're not, then spend a plot point then to do it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
let's see what happens. Okay. So
Yeah.
are you suggesting I get a D10? Was it from whiskey, Mike?
Let me double check that, but yeah.
It's make it or break it time.
Mm-hmm.
Whiskey has
You
you
wanna
listed
break
to save her life for a D10. Yeah.
Okay. So I'm only 1 off. That's not bad actually.
You do pretty damn well, yeah.
But I can't on the scale of that I can't do both dice unless I add in something from the resource pool.
Now's the time to do
Well,
it, I would say.
Well, yeah.
To be honest,
so
if you bring in the resource pool and that's not okay. Bring in the resource pool dice. What are you going to do, Dave?
Because don't you add one of the resource pool dice without using a plot point?
yes. So I mean, I only need to get like 1. I just need to not roll a 1 on it, right? So I think I'm going to use one of the land, sea, air support thing just to basically use when the drones were wetting down the sand that was coming in from the sandstorm. That has effectively stopped the worst of the burying that had happened. So
So
although the
it's
cars,
alleviated some of the.
yeah, it's not obviously cleared the cars out, but it's done enough to make what's happening here a little bit easier.
I mean,
yeah.
Up until now, you guys have had to dig out whilst more sand was piling up on top of you. At least now that's not happening.
Exactly. That's yeah. So I'm going to use one of the dice. I just need it to not be a 1, basically.
Sure. So I think this is the only other time we've used them. So this is a land sea.
Yeah. To represent the drones helping, basically. And let's see if I get 5. That's quite good, right?
That is good.
So
The 5 frees up that D8.
yeah. I mean, I don't. Well, I've got a D10.
So it's not a
and
replacement.
D8.
It's just automatically added.
Oh,
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So this is it, right?
So-
So I then use use one of the plot points, you see, which gives me the 2 dice I've got left, the D8 and the D10, which I can then just use to wipe the buried traffic.
to just
And
wipe
it's
out the
heroic
rest. So, yeah.
success now, isn't
Freeing
it?
the
Because of
rest.
the extra. Yeah.
No, it's not 5 higher. It takes him to 4 higher than the target because the target's 13.
Oh,
takes
13.
no,
Yeah,
it takes
sorry.
me-
I'm what?
Oh yes, of course it was because you added a 3. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
But even still, not that
Yeah,
that's
that's still
important because both of the dice that he has are high enough,
high
to
enough
eliminate
to
dice
eliminate
in
the
the
whole entire
crisis.
buried traffic. So I use 1 plot
Nice.
point to do that.
So the blades from Hammerhead 2 are blowing at the sand. The land support, that could be extra staff and equipment that you brought, are digging people and cars out. Dave, what's happening? What do you
Yeah.
find when you get in there?
So the Hammerhead swoops in at full speed, does a 360, 180-degree bank to come to a stop, and then readjust the jets to blow the sand out over the bridge and into the river. And as it's doing that, the cars just start to slowly become more visible as the sand clears away. And we find that the people that were inside those cars were literally on the cusp of suffocating, but take the heroic breath and survive.
Medical teams rush in to
Of course.
cut them loose and check them over. Apart from a few minor abrasions, a few maybe broken limbs at worst, these people are in good condition. They rush them across as you bring the Hammerhead into land. and then ferry these minor injured passengers, etc., off to the city. The Hammerheads team has been successful, and pretty much on timescale too.
Dealt with it in a timely manner.
That's the way this team does the job. I just want to introduce you to the fact that you were not 100% off the mark. Had we needed a longer game, if you guys were fighting a big fight, if you guys came through and finished this in the first half, for instance, there was a big IT issue to fight through as well. So you did well with the two challenges. There was no need for a third. It was clear that we'd got this pitched at the right kind of level. But yes, there were going to be some IT concerns in the background, and not having the IT support dice, I thought probably best not to give you that problem.
Oh, we'd have managed it.
Yeah.
Nice.
But yeah, no, that was really great fun, guys. I've had a lot of fun running this. This is my first time running this particular build of Cortex.
Yeah.
But
Nice.
I've been very pleased with the official Cortex roll and keep stream. Ran Hammerheads as their first campaign.
Yeah.
And I think you guys did a good showing for a Hammerheads team.
And
hey,
thank you for persisting with giving us that. I know there was lots to follow with regard to the dice. Cortex is one of those things that once you know it, and you kind of enjoy manipulating the dice and deciding which ones you're taking, and as you say, rolling and keeping. I think if we were a little bit more accustomed to that, we probably would have role played a little bit more. But I did like the problem solving side of it all, where you're having to. And the one thing that we definitely did, more so in some other than in some other streams I've been in, we were co-storytelling, saying what happened, how did we do that, how did we get there, and it was towards the end that I was kind of like, what, a bit of hell yeah is needed. So started putting the visuals in, whereas prior to that I was kind of going, right, how can I do this so that I know that I'm balanced and working with that. I think that this is not the last time we're going to see Cortex. I think one of the challenges for me as a streamer is to make sure that we can show the roll and keep and the effect dice a little bit better. So we'll have a look at that. We'll have a look at what Roll20 has to offer, and then, if necessary, what we can throw in. Because if we can do number and effect and kind of pop that up for the viewers, I think that would be very, very cool.
Right.
And I think this is just something that needs to be developed. One of the things I do love is that when Mike first introduced me to Cortex, it was a cult following, still is. It's still got a very loyal following, and rightfully so. But it didn't have a huge amount in the way of support. And I'm going to go and have a look at Roll and Keep, because I must admit, I haven't caught them yet. Hermit, yeah. I can understand that you still have no idea how this system works, which is why I think a how-to video guide of me and Mike. So I will be the guinea pig, and Mike can show me, and I will set up this whole screen so that you can see the dice, the effects, things like that. And I know Mike will be up for it, because I know that he's been a big supporter of Cortex for quite some time. And we will show how this works, and how you've got varying degrees of success and go on from there. I think I've been a bit privileged, Hermit, in that I've played this at a desk, at a table.
Yeah.
Mike has these little blank cards and a dry white marker, and he writes all the different threats down, puts it down, and you've literally got dice on the threats, and you get the satisfaction of kind of knocking them out, picking it up, and throwing it back at Mike. Not too hard. He gets annoyed at that. Yeah, so I think that's something that I would like to develop as a streamer. I'll get some ideas from Roll and Keep, and see how is it best to represent it on this comparatively small space that we have available. It's hard enough sometimes putting D&D on this system, and we will see if we can marry up Roll20 a little bit easier. But first of all, as part of the wrap-up, big thank you to people who have come in and persisted with us and followed us. So, Mike, even though this was an emergency thing put together, where where when you found out about Rodrigo's technical problems, you basically just went to your desk and started putting this together. And I've been, as some of you guys have seen, I've been putting together the frames as we've been playing. So
Yeah.
thankfully, Hammerheads has a lot of fucking amazing art, so I was able to just plug those in. All the art that you've seen here, by the way, today has been either the Roll20 stuff has been a product of Mike, or the art that you've seen, including the one behind me, is a product of Hammerheads. So one of the things I'd like to get off the list straight away is I would like to link you all to the Hammerhead Spotlight, which is where I got most of this art from. It shows all the different bits. It actually explains the system to you as well. So there you go. There's another system in your playbook, and it's something that I will definitely put onto the YouTube of this video as well. So when the YouTube video goes out, I will put that in the comments so that people are aware. I also like the fact that this setting, so Cortex to one side, yes, once you learnt it, it's great. It has a lot of things you can do with it. But this setting, Mike, I think is one of the first settings I've seen where you're playing the emergency services.
Yeah.
Yes.
I mean,
So
correct me if I'm
it's a
wrong, because I know
non-combat
that...
role-playing game.
Yeah, because non-combat, exactly. Kev, correct me if I'm wrong, because you've gone into a load of systems as well, some cult ones as well recently. I've never seen a system where you're playing the emergency services. There's no fighting. There's just problems to solve, and how did you do it? And again, the reason why at the end I was like, "Oh, Barricade, I'm going to do this," is that Barricade, by the way, is one of the mechs for one of my Lancer characters, one of my Lancer NPCs. When I put that together, I was like, you can put the hell yeah in without having to take someone out. Or dropping a bomb or firing a gun or something like that. You can have the awesome that way round. And we started doing the comparisons to Iron Man. And a lot of the things that the original kind of Iron Man stuff wasn't necessarily fighting, it's things like although I'm thinking Supergirl here, bringing the plane down, the plane where the engine's gone, and you have to bring it down. There's a similar one where I know Stark has done that in the Iron Man suit. And being more of a hero than a combatant, and taking it back from sheer combat and killing and all the rest of it. And as Scornfuse has just said in chat here, it's a freestyle puzzle game with roleplay elements. And the fact that it's, again, on the huge range of roleplay and all the different flavors in the chocolate box, I'm really glad that this is one of those flavors. So
I'll come back to that link you've shared, Si. So that takes you through to the Cortex RPG main page, but they've launched Hammerheads as a free setting that anybody can try out. So that's there for you. The whole rule set for Hammerheads is there.
Yeah.
And it's one of the 3 settings that's included in the actual Cortex handbook. And you're right, the artwork is amazing for Hammerheads. The artwork throughout that book and for the other 2 settings available is just stellar. So
do you have that link, or is that the one you sent us?
The one that you've shared, the cortexrpg.com, that is the link to get the full access to Hammerhead's rules, but also from there you can purchase the PDF or hard copy of the rules as well. Off of the back of that, the other 2 settings are Trace, which is a police procedural setting, and the other one is Eidolon Alpha, which is I've mentioned on the Discord, is a kind of Greek mythology meets Final Fantasy summoning greater gods to do your fighting for you.
I must admit, out of the 2, I love the idea of the crime one. Again, because it's a different flavor that you don't see often. The Greek gods and things like that, I have to admit, I'd probably struggle to RP into it. But if I read the setting, maybe that would change.
So, the Roll and Keep, the official Fandom Gaming Twitch stream, I'll get you a link for that in a moment. They have, as I've said, done Hammerheads already. They've done the Tales of Zadia, which is the Dragon Prince role-playing game. We did a one-shot of that a few weeks back. That's going to be a standalone product. But the next campaign they're starting this week on Thursday is the Eidolon Alpha setting. So you'll see some of the artwork for that in that game. Do tune in, take a look at that.
Yeah, that sounds fantastic. Thank you. So all that's left for us to do tonight to wrap this up is to raid someone. And I can see that we've got we've already raided those role players before. I've just read Scorm's thing. Be police and role play a detective that openly monologues as everyone looks on awkwardly. So yeah, we are going to now go off to raid Kate Madison as she continues in Wild RP. But thank you very much, everybody, for joining us today, especially considering it was an emergency one-shot. And I think fun was had and a lot of learning, more learning than I expected.
Yeah, for sure.
Big thank you to Kev, Dave, and Mike for their stories today. And we will see you next. Oh, God, it's Tuesday already. We will see you on Friday for episode 100 and something of the Benefactor, where I think they're going to start their onslaught against the Witch Queen. So, exciting stuff. We'll see you all there.
Oh, I heard about that, yeah.
Oh, Mike, was our fandom tabletop on at the moment?
No, but that's the channel for the
Perfect. If not, I was going to rate them, but yeah, okay, fantastic. Good night, everybody, and we'll see you Friday. Take care.
Bye.
The three of us, we are soldiers. No, we never blush. We are soldiers. The three of us.